We're going to be talking about the creator, Mike from PA. I'm not going to go ahead and give you a lead in on who he is because I think the video actually does a very good job of telling you who Mike from PA is. And it's not particularly political. We'll pause every now and then and I'll do commentary on both the social dynamics and the political dynamics of Mike from PA. However, it's effectively a drama video. So without further ado, let's just watch a drama video about Mike from PA, a leftist content creator who's wildly successful despite being very uncharismatic and kind of a douche.
Do someone in the audience.
Mike!
Yeah. Mike.
Me personally, I'm putting him in Love Sabra. Yeah.
Love Sabra.
Love Sabra. Love Sabra.
Yeah.
I would put it down there.
Sit
down.
Crazy. I was crazy once. They locked me in a room. A rubber room. A rubber room with rats.
I will... What?
I would like him to come to TwitchCon and we'll see what happens. I have enough. I could afford all the lawyers.
Mike, this is a learning opportunity. That's okay. Hold on.
You don't know anything about politics. It's embarrassing. I'm talking to you. No, if you live in Florida, I have an opportunity for you. If you want to earn $100,000, let me know. You are, and this is no exaggeration, literally selling out your own people.
Welcome back.
All right, hold on. We got to address this, okay? Casey says, if World War Stink goes nuclear, how funny is it going to be to watch the MAGAs see this Trump lets 30 million war refugees from India into the country? Bruh, that's like I've had groypers in the chat, and that's the most racist shit I've ever had said in my chat. Because, sorry, in case nobody has the context for this comment, Pakistan is on the verge of going to war with India over the region of Kashmir, and they both have nuclear weapons. So there's like the capacity for these people to burn each other. And Casey, a liberal progressive, called this conflict World War Stink. Bruh, that's racist shit, okay? Listen, I'm not a huge fan of the smell of Indian restaurants, okay? I'm not a huge fan of it, but never in my wildest dreams would I ever call a Pakistani-Indian conflict World War Stink. That is insane, okay? Sen Patty says, inside you there's two wolves, one F's couches, the other one punches them. Indeed. And the one that wins is the one that you feed. So in reference to the Mike from PA stuff, we're going to let him get into it. But honestly, like, he has so many rough clips that there actually are going to be parts of this video that are difficult to watch. All right, sorry. Let's get back into Mike from PA being cringe.
Back to Idiot Influencers. Today we'll be covering another Hassan Piker orbiter, Central Committee, aka Mike from PA. I've been vaguely familiar with Mike over the past year, but I started looking into him more following some ludicrous statements he made regarding Ethan Klein's content nuke on Hassan. We'll get to that, but I think it's important we first look through his past controversies. Michael Byer is a 40-year-old failed politician who graduated from the University of Pittsburgh School of Law in 2013. The next year, he decided to run for a U.S. House seat against a man named Justin Simmons. Now, this election was personal for Mike, as his own mother, Karen Byer, had lost the 2010 election against Simmons. He wanted to avenge her, in a sense, even registering as a Democrat to do so. That's right, Mike used to register as a Republican, only switching to have a chance at beating Simmons. This election seemed heated, with Simmons questioning Mike's validity.
I'm sorry for, I read a sentence on screen and it's actually quite brutal. Listen, I try, when people are just being mean to people and they're extending no charity, it kind of makes me cringe a little bit. So when I can offer charity, I will. When I can make fun of them, I'm going to, okay? So Simmons says, I don't think he's a credible candidate. He's 30 years old. He's never had a job and he has consistently lied about his occupation and his credentials. And we called him out on it. So hold up, bro. Hold up. Okay. I'm just going to share this with you because Mike from PA, part of the reason why we're doing the segment is because Mike from PA tweeted at me yesterday because I criticized Hassan. I made fun of Hassan. And and then one of the things that he said in the replies, because everybody was dogpiling him and posting pictures of when he was fat. And by the way, if you're fat, don't worry about it. Okay. We'll get you in shape here. You know, I'll show you how. But but he's like, oh yeah, I blew Connor out on a debate. 5 years ago, just like I did his daddy Destiny. And here it was pathetic. And it's like, dude, hold up. Okay, hold up. Number one, I want to point out the fact that the debate was over defund the police. And my point then, as it is now, is that defund the police is too progressive. It's too crazy. And what's going to happen is if you take a bunch of money from law enforcement and then you put it into social services, there's going to be a spike in crime, and then everybody's going to call back for law enforcement. Whereas things like universal body cameras, field social workers, and I was trying to think of what else, but like community outreach programs and community policing, these are all going to be things that are reforms that actually bridge the gap between communities and law enforcement that will make sure that there aren't unnecessary deaths in the future. And so he called me a moron, a dipshit, said I was retarded, said that I didn't know what I was talking about. He said that progressive politics weren't far enough. He said that, this was that progressives being charitable. And what happened since then, right? I basically predicted that there was going to be a backlash. And guess what? There was. Immediately after this debate, which I think was in 2019, it was right before the Summer of Love. The Summer of Love happened, and defund the police evaporated because of the riots. So not only was he wrong, he was also a fucking moron during the debate, and he was a fucking moron. Sorry for cussing so much. But anyways, he was a fucking moron during the debate, and he was a moron after, and he's a moron about it 6 years later. I don't think about Mike from PA routinely. I think about pretty much anybody but Mike from PA, because the truth is that he doesn't leave his little hug box. So I don't really care. So finding out that a decade ago, some Republican representative was bullying Mike because he hadn't held a real job, I'm going to share with you some of my personal credentials. If we're making this a credential war, let's make this a credential war, okay? I started working when I was 15, okay? My parents had the perspective that if you're not doing extracurriculars, you work. So I started working when I was 15, bagging groceries and bringing in carts, right? I sweat my ass off when I was 15 to 17. When I was 17, I worked at a car wash, okay? I was working on 100-degree cement in the Florida sun, washing cars for probably like $8 an hour, right? So I know how to bust my ass in the working class that he cares about so much, right? Then when I got done with high school, I enlisted in the Marine Corps, which basically means that you're eating shit for 4 years. When I got out, I got my 4-year degree from a university. Then I was in law enforcement. Law enforcement is another thankless, well, not totally thankless, but let's just say that the stress doesn't correlate with the privileges. And still working class, still making not that much money, still had decent benefits compared to retail and restaurant, but it's a tough job, right? Meanwhile, and that was by the time that I was 30. Meanwhile, what Mike from PA has done, according to Mr. Simmons, his political rival, is he went to law school. Okay? His daddy and mommy paid his bills so he could go to law school. He passed law school but failed the bar, and then he became a streamer. I don't care what else I do in my life. I was a cop. I was a Marine. I have kids. I have a family. I've already done more in my life than Mike from PA will ever achieve. I don't care if his bank account is fat. I don't care if he's got money. I don't care if lefties like him. He's an uncharismatic piece of shit, and he's accomplished nothing, and he's a terrible human being. End of rant.
I don't think he's a credible candidate. He's 30 years old, he's never had a job, and he has constantly lied about his occupation and his credentials and his occupation, and we have called him out on it. Now, Simmons is referring to the fact that Mike enlisted his occupation as a lawyer, despite never passing the bar exam. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court tried to get him removed from the ballot over this, seeing it as a sketchy way to add credibility to his campaign. He only got away with it because his actions were viewed as a good faith mistake. Years later, he claimed that this was a mistake made by the Democratic Party.
Well, they put lawyer. Let's be nice. This is Mike from PA with his best aesthetic. He should shave. His beard sucks. He has decent long hair. Okay? This is his best aesthetic. That's the nicest thing I can say.
In my profession section. That's what that was on a petition. And I didn't notice that until later. I talked to the Democratic Party. They were like, oh, that should be fine. And the Democratic Party paid for my court case, and we won at the appellate level, we won at the trial court level, we only lost at the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, which at the time was full of Republicans. And you know what happened? Nothing. I ended up winning the Democratic primary anyway.
I'd believe him, but that information was not mentioned in any of the articles I read on the situation. They painted it as him trying to boost his credibility. Regardless, Simmons would win this election, with Mike only receiving 38.9% of the vote. Following his loss, Mike would begin forming his online presence. He would occasionally call into the Majority Report in 2016, soon becoming a producer for the show. It's unknown when he stopped working with them, but by 2019, he started streaming more on Twitch under the Mike from PA persona. He began immersing himself in various leftist spaces, soon collaborating with the streamer Bad Bunny.
I think that's fine. So if a guy pays for my tab,
I think I'm getting your attention. I feel like I touched like a vampire touching holy water.
can I help you?
Well, I think they want to go in.
Okay.
I don't think you could produce a more embarrassing clip. No matter how much Mike would like you to forget it, this video will always be his legacy. Mike would continue.
No. I disagree. I'm going to be nice, okay? I'm going to be nice in reference to this clip. And let's... Not even a weak beard is usually better than nothing, lol, says Sean. Sean, you're going to have an opportunity to try to prove me wrong and tell me whether or not, you know, whether or not you still hold that opinion by the end of this, okay? So I'm going to mute myself.
Collaborating.
Well, I'm not going to mute. I'm going to back up and I'm going to mute it, okay? Listen. This is Mike. He's in his late 20s. He's a little overweight. He's hanging out with Bad Bunny. I don't think Bad Bunny is the cutest girl ever, but let's just face it that she's cute for Mike, right? Let's put it that way. And so he's chunky. He's a little awkward. It happens, right? You know, we all start. We all have an awkward phase, okay? Exactly. Christian Blair says, if he wasn't such a piece of garbage, I would feel bad for him, okay? So I'm going to say that, you know, I feel bad for him in this clip. So there's a cute, let's just run the hypothetical. You're a fat kid. Your parents paid your bills your entire life. You're not properly socialized. You haven't dated enough people. You don't have that much professional experience. You have a crush on a streamer girl who, let's face it, Bad Bunny is very mean. Very mean. This is like dating on Dark Souls, okay? Because the only thing that mean women, bear in mind, my wife is not mean. But she's tough, okay? The only thing that tough women respect or will banter with is another tough guy. If you are pusillanimous, if you are weak, then tough women will eat you alive. So right here, we have what he thinks is a good-looking girl, and she's a tough gal who is very mean, very abrasive, very rude, okay? Yeah, this is, if you are a pusillanimous dude and you're dating a tough gal, this is dating on Dark Souls, 100%. So this is a child, okay? This is like a 13-year-old emotionally who is trying to have his first relationship with a girl he thinks is cute, and she is too mean for him to understand what's going on. He's literally trying to get her attention, but he doesn't have the confidence in order to do so. So the second he touches her and she looks at him like cryptically, skeptically, he cringes inside his own body. Okay, look at this. One more time. Touch. Hey, I'm trying to get your attention. I'm rubbing your back. She looks repulsed. He knows that she looks repulsed because he's a nice guy and because she is mean, abrasive, and rude. He doesn't know how to respond. Bye. Love you. And so as a result, he defaults psychologically to a 12-year-old boy. He gets scared. He retreats into himself. And he kind of falls apart, and then he tries to salvage the situation by just telling her what's going on, and then she bullies him, okay? So what I'm hoping for Mike for PA's sake, trying to be as nice as I possibly can to the 13-year-old boy that was Mike, that wasn't necessarily a massive piece of shit, I'm hoping that he has since gained the confidence that if he deals with a tough, abrasive, and emotionally rude person, then he can say, you know what? Fuck you, bitch, right? Because here's the thing. Let's be real. If Let's run the scenario one more time, okay? You touch a woman's shoulder. She looks at you repulsively. Instead of retreating into yourself, because she is being a bitch, right? Like, I get that's like a misogynist statement, but she's being a bitch. She's being mean for no fucking reason. So if you stand there, stand your ground, and you say, hey, stop being a fucking bitch. We're going inside. Then at that point, I guarantee you, Bad Bunny would have an infinitely better response to you standing your ground, being confident, calling out her bad behavior, and then telling her what's going on. That there would be a 100% better chance of Mike actually, he might have hooked up with Bad Bunny eventually just through simpery. I have no idea how, but there's 100% a better chance of her actually liking you if you stand there and you say, stop being a bitch. I touched you to get your attention. We're going inside. Everybody else is ready. Stop being a fucking asshole. That is going to work 1,000 times better than what the fuck this is. Okay. So a little advice to the people at home. If you have a 13-year-old Mike from PA in your soul.
Mike would continue collaborating with Bad Bunny, with some noticing his simp-like behavior.
Sorry, I got a dono. Grassroots Hegemon for the $20. Thank you kindly, King. Always appreciate you carrying the chat financially. If you do have money burning a hole in your pocket, go ahead and share it. Share the love, okay? We're creating content for the masses. We're making money for the proletariat. We're saving America through sewer socialism. Grassroots Hegemon for $20 says, one time in Texas, I had a moth the size of a dinner plate, and her response was basically mine. Yo. Yeah, like if a girl stares at you the way that you stare at a dinner plate sized Texan moth, then you need to call that shit out, okay? Stand your ground. Exactly. Christian Blair says, press X to doubt. You can tell me what you doubt. I 100% think that women who behave badly respond better to men who call out their bad behavior. I've seen it dozens of times. Continuing.
Behavior for her. It just comes across as creepy.
Oh, wait, did he ever finish 1,000 subs?
No. I disagree. So hold up. This is a couple's pose, okay? She is leaning her head into the crook of his arm. She is initiating physical contact. There is some part of her that is like she's skeeved out by Mike a little bit, but there's some part of her that actually is comfortable with Mike, or else she wouldn't take this pose at all. And so I don't blame Mike for being confused, where she's probably hot or cold in the relationship. And he took this initiation of physical contact where she's literally putting her head into his shoulder as a like physical endorsement of his behavior, basically. And then he goes in for a rub, because this is probably, no offense, this is probably one of the greatest moments of his life at this point. He has a girl that he's simping for, a girl that he's attracted to, leaning in order to get a physical affection from him. But then if this is the best moment of Mike from PA's life up to this point, the next 5 seconds are going to be one of the worst moments of his life.
I will.
Where, because they're in public, she can seek physical affection from him, but he cannot be physically affectionate with her, because that's him effectively claiming her as like a sexual object subconsciously. And so as a result, she wants to reject that in front of chat because it's in public. And there's like horror in his face right now where he's like, oh my God, the girl I like or I love is cuddling me. This is the best moment of my life. And then the second that he reciprocates physical attention, she starts being a fucking asshole about it. Let's take a look at it.
What?
Can you hover hand me, please? Hover hand me.
Hover hand me, please. He's trying to make a move. He's trying to assert some level of dominance, but she's not having it.
Please.
No, I'm not hover hand. Get that out of here.
That's actually, look, they're actually having fun. They're being banter, and he finally calls her out. He says, no, not hover handing you. You can't snuggle me and then have me pretend like I don't want that. Like, get the hell out of here. And look at her. She's having a great time. She's ecstatic that she just embarrassed him on stream. She loves this. Torturing him is one of her favorite things on the planet.
There's rumors that this guy left a previous relationship for this, and I hope they're not true, because this is brutal. Now, we do want to preface that.
Yeah, Bad Bunny sucks, dude. Like, Bad Bunny was effectively like a spider, and Mike from PA was a fly caught in her web. It's actually crazy. It's crazy pants that it's almost like the universe conspired to destroy Mike from PA by introducing him to Bad Bunny. Absolutely brutal. Thank God he called out that stuff. I'd have left the building. Yeah, bro, dude. If a chick's doing you dirty like that and she's playing hot and cold or whatever, don't put up with it. Number one, call it out and just say, hey, listen, you're being hot and cold with me. You're showing me affection 1 second. You're acting like you're not interested the next. I don't know what's going on. And frankly, I have the self-respect in order to not deal with that. So either we are together and we're going to hang out, we're going to cuddle, we're going to hook up, we're going to be a couple, or we're done. Like, pick a lane. Because otherwise, a woman like this, if you stay in her orbit in order to try to get physical affection and she's hot and cold with you, effectively, she's just going to play you until she gets a better option. So Mike was young, emotionally inexperienced, didn't know what was going on, and effectively got eaten for lunch by Bad Bunny. I don't blame him for any of this. Like, again, somebody said earlier, I think it was Christian Vlaris, they said if Mike wasn't such an asshole, they would feel bad for him. I feel the exact same way. I feel bad. I feel bad for the 13-year-old Mike from PA child that wasn't given the opportunity to mature until his late 20s. And then Bad Bunny was probably his first or second real girlfriend. And so as a result, she chewed him out and spit him out on stream for fun. I do feel bad for that guy. I do not feel bad for the disgusting, repulsive, authoritarian, egocentric, egomaniacal freak that is Mike from PA who creates content. I don't feel bad for that guy at all. I do feel bad for the kid who got chewed up and spit out on stream. Conservative liberalism says you don't even have to call someone who reacts negatively to you a bitch. Just no sell it. Point is the direction you need to go. Sure. There's different people who feel different about misogynistic slurs, like bitch or the CUNT thing. The way that I feel about it, though, just being real, sorry mom, sorry Ken, sorry Jesus, sorry God, is that you call a spade, okay? If I'm being an asshole, call me an asshole. Don't mute it. Don't mollycoddle it. Don't do any of that kind of crap. Just call it what it is, right? So, and the same thing with women. Women can be incredibly cold, callous, hot and cold, manipulative, vindictive, cruel. Women can rip your heart out and show it to you, right? I speak from some level of experience in my younger years. So the truth is that if women are going to be that cruel, then they can't get upset when you call them cruel, which effectively, that's what I would say the stand-in for bitch. What you're summarizing with that term is a woman is being an asshole in a way that oftentimes only women can be. So if women don't want to get called bitches, then don't be a bitch. And if guys don't want to be called dicks, then don't be a dick. Like it's actually that simple. Isn't she the girl who was famous for the clip of the streamer $5 a month? I literally think they might show that in this video, but yes, that's her. Casey says, oh my God, I've never seen this clip before. My neck is breaking. Yeah, I'm happy. Listen, normally I take psychic damage during these videos. I'm happy you guys are taking psychic damage this time. It actually feels more fair. Oh, man. B's are both genders as far as I'm concerned. Too many weak men being the same way. Oh, dude, yeah. B can absolutely be a male insult as well. So yeah. So it's not exclusively female. It can be misogynistic. You could say that it's misogynistic, but let's face it. I'm mildly misogynist some of the times. I don't even care about the slur. I'm just a less verbally reactive person. I blame my Finnish genes. All right. No. You should be more mature than me. If someone's being an asshole, I call them an asshole. If somebody's being a bitch, I call them a bitch. It is what it is. It's not mature. So I'm not saying it's mature. I'm just saying that I have had, when somebody is being abrasive, callous, cruel, hot and cold, etc., calling out the behavior, in my opinion, it stops the behavior faster than playing into whatever game they're playing. Ved says, we take psychic damage every time you watch any lefty critique. True. Pickup artist got a ton wrong, but they nailed the concept of shit tests women pull to make sure you're not weak and cringe. Dude, that Sean Kaplan just perfectly encapsulated it. It's effectively a test by the female to see whether or not you're weak. That's what it is.
That Bad Bunny is a very rude and abrasive person. She's an asshole. Though I don't feel bad for Mike because he's in his mid-30s and should know not to hang out with her. He did so anyways, most likely to gain connections within the BreadTube streamer space through her. Following that awkward clip, Bad Bunny spends the next few minutes insulting Mike with her chat, while he's just sitting there, completely cucked.
He's got super low emotional intelligence for whatever reason. That's what surprises me, because I didn't think he would have a low emotional intelligence. For me? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So they're going to be here in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Now for this next clip, I'm going to give a trigger warning for violent content. It's very graphic.
I love this bit. So hold on. Let's do it with audio. And let's do it without. God, I love this. This is my favorite Mike from PA moment. It's awesome.
They're going to be here in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Now for this next clip, I'm going to give a trigger warning for violent content. It's very graphic.
That just feels good. Oh my god. Yeah. It just feels good.
What did you just do? Why is this couch now moved? Did you just hit the couch?
Let me just move the couch back. I just nudged it. Oh shit, they're here.
God, that poor couch. I mean, even a
Listen, okay? Listen. We've all done cringe things, okay? Make love, not war, Mike from PA. Yes, okay? So we've all done cringe things, all right? What was it? I'm trying to think of something that I can share that isn't, you know, I'm very happy that my cringe moments when I was a teenager, he's in his like late 20s, so this is way too late. But what's going on is he has a girl that thinks he's attractive, who's blowing hot and cold with him. He's getting frustrated, so he lashes out in a weird way because he's not old or mature enough in order to control himself. That's what's going on, okay? And so as a result, he does this weird thing where he's like, I'm gonna punch the couch. That's probably not even a conscious thought. He just does it because it's instinctive. He's like, I can't hit the woman. I'm not gonna start a fight with my friend. I am frustrated. This chick is frustrating the hell out of me. I feel like hitting something, so I'm gonna hit the couch because that's not gonna have any effect on anything. It's almost like an instinctive caveman response. But what ends up happening is, because we live in the modern era with live streaming, is tens of thousands and probably millions of people have seen him getting emotionally frustrated and then punch a couch. So one more time, okay?
clip, I'm going to give a trigger warning for violent content. It's very graphic.
That just feels good. Oh my god. Yeah.
Can I just say, though, there is enough hatred and discontent. Obviously, he's not built for it. But look at this. I've criticized Sneeko, and I've criticized Hassan Piker for not putting their body into a punch. But look at this. He does put a majority of his shoulder into the punch, so there's actually some energy there. His hips down here, I think, are actually going to rotate a little bit. Yep, see, yeah, look at this. Perfect hip rotation, okay? I'm praising Mike from PA, okay? He's actually putting his shoulder into it. His whole shoulder is into it. It's locked between his neck and his shoulder and his arm. And then look at his hip. Look at it. Look at this hip rotation. Boom. He's rotating his whole hip. If he had a little bit of training, Mike from PA could actually probably throw a decent punch. Boom. Look at that couch. He gets that couch so good. Look, man. He needs to work out. And he needs to, he needs to work on his form. His guard needs to be up. But look at this, man. It's perfect. It's perfect couch punching form. So listen, bro. Listen. Y'all are sleeping on Mike, okay? Y'all are sleeping on Mike. I'm gonna do it one more time, okay? I know this is silly and ridiculous, but look, boom, right here between these two frames, his neck muscles are locked into his shoulder muscles are locked into his elbow muscles are locked into his fist, okay? He's putting his whole shoulder into the punch. All right. The contact point is his two front knuckles, and he's rotating his hips. Bruh, between Sneeko, Hassan Piker, and Mike from PA has the best punches. All right. I promise we'll move on. I'm just, I do think that's mad funny that Mike from PA's, his punching form is actually better than a lot of other people's. Conservative liberalism says, I've heard of this meme, never saw the origin. I wish it remained the stuff of legend. Nope. You're gonna hurt with me. I broke my collarbone on Thursday. Please stop making me cringe and laugh at the same time. It hurts almost as much watching this several times. So, Biblio Life is going to have to mute himself because we're having too much fun. He can replace Harley. True. Listen. All right. Let's give credit where it's due. Okay. Mike was simping for a girl. She chewed him up and spit him out. He had some cringe moments, but he legitimately has decent couch punching form. Okay. I'm going to concede that to Mike from PA. All right. That's why in my version of Creator Clash, Destiny fights from Mike from PA. Dude, that would be such a firefight. Destiny, to my knowledge, has never thrown a punch. He is choked out. That's a crazy comment. That's a crazy comment. All right. It's true, but it's crazy. All right, let's move on. I'm having too much fun.
Yeah.
Good punch, Mike.
What did you just do? Why is this couch now moved? Did you just hit the couch?
No, we just moved the couch back. I just nudged it. Oh, shit, they're here.
God, that poor couch. Am I even allowed to show this on YouTube? Mike clearly did that out of anger, though he continues simping for her after this, appearing in more streams.
Can you stop walking in my space? Great, from now on, I need you to use one arm's length away from me. Put your arm out. If you can touch me, you're too close to me.
I don't want to hear it anymore. What are you gonna do? Continue to be annoying?
Stream. We got some shit.
Change it over to Central Committee, get some real viewers on it.
You would have to know how to function a piece of technology in order to do that.
Bad Bunny was clearly uncomfortable with Mike's touchiness, mentioning this while discussing why she unmodded him from her Twitch chat.
Was there a slip up? Like where he messed up? Like, was there a mess up? It was more like a smattering of multiple mess ups that defined more like 2 solid days of me pleading, please stop, that's bothering me.
Mm-hmm.
Finally resulting in me unmodding him in my chat, and then he said, oh my god, is she serious? 2 days later, that maybe I'm crossing her boundaries and making her feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Despite Bad Bunny clearly hating him, what truly started a rift in their relationship was when she started flirting with another guy on stream. Mike got so pissed that he left their Discord server, soon writing, I'm just single for the first time in a long time. Ending a long-term relationship is tough. Also, I'm just not used to doing this kind of stuff publicly, so I'm just not up for making myself the butt of jokes in this area right now. Maybe I'm just not cut out for any part of my personal life being public. Need to keep things very separate. I'm still learning. Dude, you never had a chance with her. This is like Chris Chan levels of delusion. Bad Bunny would talk about this briefly on stream, and like a moth to a flame, Mike came crawling back. And it couldn't have happened at the worst time, with Bad Bunny getting into a massive controversy.
How did my whole speech about how I need subs and to keep the stream going if you like the content, blah, 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 how that results in 0 subs?
I gotta read this. This is horrifying. Grass your Chedramon for $5. Get that cushy, sorry Connor's mom. It's okay. I doubt she'll watch this segment. But bruh. If y'all don't know what cushy is, that's totally fine. I think it's the shortened version of cushion. but I think that grassroots hegemon is using that as a combination of a vulgar word mixed with cushion, which is crazy. That's a crazy super chat, but that's okay. Wow. I didn't want to know that word. I didn't want to know that word, and my life is now poorer for you having made me realize that that's a word.
There are regulars here. $5 a month. How do you have hours of time to watch me and not $5? I don't know. What are you doing with your life where you have hours of time to watch Twitch and not $5 to provide for the content that you're watching? There are I have a wall of non-subs. This is fucking actually really heartbreaking because it's like people just really they really don't respect me as a content creator.
Obviously, that rant would get her into hot water, with many big YouTubers dunking on her for being an obnoxious piece of shit. Though not Mike, who just had to defend her.
Because nobody else gets called out like this. No man gets called out for this. Women get called out for this. Women get called out for this. It's so blatantly obvious. And the reason why this is getting retweeted and liked so much is because she's an attractive woman who didn't act like a nice person, which is what makes sexually frustrated incels angry. Woman not acting, woman out of her place, me mad.
Probably the most childish defense you can give. Oh, you criticized a woman? Incel, come check out this little incel over here. He must have taken this right from Casey Tron's rulebook. I just don't want to hear that word coming from this guy. It's like the pot calling the kettle black.
The thing is,
wow, this only has 980 views, and it's from Dr. Disrespect, one of the biggest streamers on the platform, and nobody cares! It's almost like you're sexist! It's almost like you've been exposed right fucking now by me!
That is such a good rant. Dude, can we... Sorry, this is bad because I'm starting to like Mike because he has so many excellent clippable moments, man. How can you... That is a fire. It's cringe, but it's fire. It's almost like you've been exposed by me. It's like a Batman villain rant. It's awesome. So hold on. Send Patty says legendary rant, by the way. Yeah, so many people gave her flack for this. And Grassroots Hegemon, he's my J-Mac, okay? So he's been, doing plenty of donos. We had plenty of donos yesterday, by the way, so I'm not harassing chat. But at all. But the thing is, obviously, like when you want to go full-time on content creation, you have to try to make more. Obviously, I have a family, so I need to make more than minimum wage, right? And that needs to be a combination of AdSense, donations, subs, memberships, all that kind of stuff. And so it's very difficult to track. So I can identify with Bad Bunny's frustration over her having like consistent chatters or whatever. Maybe she has hundreds, maybe she has thousands, but nobody is effectively like paying her bills. And so as a result, she might not be able to continue her dream career. I understand with that frustration. However, I think that in order to check the egomaniacal impulses of creators, Chud Logic is ultimately correct. Okay. So Chud Logic's perspective on this, as far as I can articulate it, is that he is privileged to be in the job. It is not going to last forever. He's ecstatic that he gets to talk about drama for content every single day. And so he's grateful for all the donations that he gets. And he's just going to ride out the content wagon as long as he possibly can. That is Chud Logic's perspective. And honestly, as much as I don't care if Chud likes me, doesn't like me, whatever. I admire his content and I admire his growth. I think he's done an excellent job. I think that sense of humility is the best mentality. So if I ever have a spoiled rant like Bad Bunny where I'm like, I haven't gotten a donation in 3 hours and I'm not going to be able to pay my rent this month, guys. I don't think that's going to happen for other reasons. But the point is, if I ever have a spoiled Bad Bunny rant, just know subconsciously, I know Chud Logic is right. I know Chud Logic's mentality is absolutely correct when it comes to content creation. It's not It's not a right, it's a privilege. Being able to talk to dozens or hundreds or thousands of people about politics and drama is a privilege. It's a privileged position. Being a content creator is only one reason people have no respect for. True. Juxtapose this with Destiny slapping his wife's butt without her consent. True. The good old days when Bad Bunny was the topic for 2 weeks. Yeah, it feels like simpler times. I'm not sure if it is, but it is simpler times. Basically, Table Shot says, if it's not even what she said, it was how she said it. Agreed. Example, Russian Badger that just says, money, maybe I just love money, buy my gamer subs already, but he does it in a funny, non-accusatory way. Yeah, of course. There's a way to engender love in your audience. What's a tiff? That's coming up. So when he rages, he sounds a little Gene Wilder. He does. There's redeeming attributes to Mike. 5 from Casey. Thank you for the dono. Chat donate to our hey, that's too sexual. Victoria is not going to appreciate that one. But anyways, DKK, thank you for the donation. Appreciate it. If you want to make more money, you could always sell merch. Yeah. Bathwater. Maybe not bathwater, but overly expensive cookies. Well, last weekend, I bumped into Wookiee cookies. I was at Disney, and I was going with the kid, and somebody made a joke about Wookiee cookies, and I thought that would be funny merch, like a T-shirt that said Wookiee cookies. It's chewy. Obviously, it's corny as hell, but I appreciated the corny as hell joke. Anyways, yeah, we'll work on merch. We'll work on back end. I promise. We're just when it comes to me, obviously the Warhammer 40K content is pretty well established. The political content has not gotten enough love and attention, and so you're just gonna have to be patient with me as we set everything up. So you have too much humility for that. I hope so. Get Victoria mini dachshund already though. Yo, mini dachshunds are like mad expensive. All my dogs are mutts adopted from the shelter. They were free. All my dogs have been less than $50 so far in my life. So going from free dogs who I know need a home to buying like a $2,000 bread dog, let's just say that we're going to need some more ad revenue before that happens. They are so perfect and cute though. I agree. Disney would sue you into the dirt. Yeah, we got to make it. We got to figure out how to. Obviously, Disney would take issue with the merchandise, specifically when it comes after their stuff. They're very litigious, but I wonder if there's a way that we could make it silly in order to get away from or get into fair use. Not sure. Anyways, let's continue with the content. I've been yapping. Thank you for the donation. Sincerely appreciated. Sapien Green, Grassroots Hegemon, Casey. Thank you for the donations. It's greatly appreciated. Spending that much money on a dog is kind of crazy. Yes. And I'm a huge dog person, and I know that there's dogs down at the shelter that need help. So if I spent $2,000 on a dog, kind of similar to Hassan. I hate Hassan Piker. We'll be talking shit about him later today, but I would need to effectively give an additional $2,000 to the dog shelter because I know how many other animals need homes, right? I wouldn't be willing to just drop that cash without doing it, some kind of like charitable karmic penance for spending money in a very stupid way.
This only has 980 views, and it's from Dr. Disrespect, one of the biggest streamers on the platform, and nobody cares! It's almost like you're sexist! It's almost like you've been exposed right fucking now by me! QED! End of debate!
Immediately after this, people started referring to Mike as a white knight, something he takes deep offense to while at the same time trying to play dumb.
Again, what does that even mean? What does white knight even mean exactly?
The poor, like, pejorative meant to infer that the only reason that you would ever defend the actions of a woman, well, Mike, are because you crave a sexual experience with her. You're protecting Milady in hopes that you might earn yourself into her good graces. You know.
Is that how human sexuality works? I have never experienced that as how you get sex. I don't know.
That's exactly what's going on. And he's pretending not to know what the guy's talking about because it's so obviously what's going on. He doesn't want to admit it's what's going on.
For having such a horrendous take, Mike got a well-deserved punishment. getting mocked by one of the biggest YouTubers of all time.
And then the simps come to the rescue.
She's an attractive woman.
Oh,
Who
for
didn't act like a nice
fuck's
person.
sake!
Did you see it?
That makes sexually frustrated incels angry.
You notice the lack of eye contact, the lack of confidence, the slouch cheek posture. That's all. He hit all 3 simp marks right
I hit
there.
all the simp marks.
I'm getting your attention.
Dude, I vacillate between hating this guy with every fiber of my being and also feeling bad for him simultaneously. I jump back and forth. It's like emotional whiplash. I'm like, I hate Mike from PA. He's such a piece of shit. He's so uncharitable. He's so rude. He's so abrasive. He's such a dick. And then I see him just get like his emotional dick kicked in on stream. And I'm just like, ah, poor Mikey. It's brutal. Right now, I'm on the poor Mike emotional thing. We'll see if I get whiplashed into hating him again.
I feel like I touched
During a stream from February 2020, Mike begins actually sticking up for himself and calls out Bad Bunny.
Why are you intentionally hanging out with people that are mean to you, Mike?
I'm not. You came to me. This is my Discord.
You're always in my life. You fucking DM me all the time. Like, Bunny, can we hang out? Bunny,
Bunny, did I DM you today?
Yes, you DM me in the morning.
No, I did not.
I might be a convert.
Wow, you really won this debate, Mike. You didn't DM me one morning, maybe, according to your recollection.
You DM'd me, I left it on red, and then I stayed on my stream, and you came over here.
I give you a weird, like, sideways fucking face, and you're like, what's the matter? What's the matter? That was you last night. Don't even start. Don't even pretend you didn't go, what's going on? Why are you making that face?
What? Must have been someone else you were talking to, not me.
Sometime after this, he finally had enough.
Good for Mike. Good for Mike. He gets caught simping. She rips his guts out on stream. He does a bunch of cringe stuff, and then he stands up for himself. Okay, good for Mike. Okay, we're proud of Mike for this one moment. Did they secretly get married? No, but they act like it, right?
And stopped being.
If you start doing that, then I'm gonna stop watching. What if I start feeling bad for Mike from PA? No. Listen, we call spade a spade, okay? We call balls and strikes, all right? If he was simping and then she was really rude and mean and shitty, and then he stopped simping, we are gonna praise good behavior even if it's from people we hate. Okay? Don't like Mike. I think he's an egregious, aggressive, abrasive, douchebag, egomaniacal idiot. However, if he was simping and then he stopped simping, we applaud that. Okay? Just because your enemies or people you hate do bad things doesn't mean that all the things they do are bad. Conservative liberalism, I think, agrees with the sentiment. He says, we are all proud of Mike for working through social dynamics most of us sorted out in middle and high school. Exactly. Okay? Exactly. His parents probably, I don't know if he's an only child. He might be an only child. He acts like an only child. He might be an only child. He might be from a rich family. The rich family never forced him to work. So he was very soft. He was a soft boy. He got through law school by the skin of his teeth, never passed the bar. So he was never really that special. He lost his congressional thing. He ended up doing streaming in order to get attention. He became a Hassan Piker waiting room. He has all these embarrassing social habits that suck. But he's working through it, okay? He used to be a simp. Now he's not simping. Regardless of whatever you think about Mike from PA, being a simp and then not simping anymore is a good thing. So good for Mike for that thing. We need a dog clicker every time Mike stands up for himself. Yo, what if we did that as like a treat system? And obviously I don't know Mike well enough for this, but like, what if every time Mike stood up for himself, we like double click the treat and then we got him in Uber Eats? honestly, okay. So if we're streaming, let's say it's 6 months from now, you know, we're not big, but you know, we got enough viewers in order to sustain the stream. You know, Valor renews the contracts. We're posting content on the reg, so we're getting like good AdSense, all that kind of stuff. If we interact with Mike from PA in the future, or interact with his content in the future, every time he does something good, we're gonna get a dog clicker and we're gonna click it and we're gonna be like, good boy, and then we're gonna send him an Uber Eats gift card. Oh man. I'm sorry. I think that would be like a fire content to do like a time lapse of like years of doing the dog treat clicker. The community is going to be the reason he stays obese. The treat system is how we fix Twitch politics. Every time somebody we hate does something good, we click a dog training clicker, and then we send them an Uber Eats gift card. I'm sorry if I'm enjoying that too much. I'm tearing up a little bit just because I know how much these people love Uber Eats. Oh my God. Good. Send Patty. Hold me accountable. Hold me accountable. Exactly, Brooklyn. We're gonna do a Pavlovian behavior mod to Twitch politics. we are gonna socialize Twitch politics through Uber Eats gift cards. All right. I know. It's dead. I'm enjoying it too much. Let's move on.
Friends of her. I don't know for sure what his ultimate goal was of their friendship. Maybe love, maybe someone to collab with. When, in my opinion, he did this to get himself known amongst other leftist streamers. Though he didn't become known in a good way, leading to years of humiliation.
Do this 7 minutes a day until June 1st. We start on May 5th. By May 12th, you'll feel better. By May 19th, you'll look better. By summer, your wife won't believe your results. Here's a personalized plan of short chair workouts tailored for beginners over 50. It's just 7 minutes a day, beginner friendly, and requires no equipment. You can work out anytime, anywhere. Just open the app and follow along.
Nice.
Around the same time, Mike was hanging out with Bad Bunny. He'd hop on streams of the liberal debater Destiny. Mike and Destiny started off with a cordial relationship, though that soon changed. Mike believes Destiny is a gateway to the alt-right, and Destiny believes Mike is a tanky. Now, I won't go over much of.
Sorry, I was eating trail mix. This is how criminally insane the Twitch and YouTube politics debate sphere was that Stephen Bonnell, the pro-trans, pro-gay, pro-progressive tax structure, pro-social programs, probably pro-European-style medical stuff, is a gateway to the alt-right. That is insane. I guarantee you that Stephen has pulled more people out of the alt-right and even gotten alt-right, distant right people to consider more liberal and progressive ideas than he ever drove people towards the alt-right. 100%. Somebody was asking earlier, what positive political contributions has Stephen made? Obviously, Stephen, his personal life is a disaster. 2022 was a disaster. The way he conducts himself in relationships isn't the best, et cetera, et cetera. However, the amount of debate bros from 2019 to 2022 considered Destiny's arguments who were completely politically against him is probably tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. So calling him a gateway to the alt-right is insane. And then Mike from PA being a tanky, I think there's infinitely more evidence of Mike from PA being a tanky apologist than there is of Destiny being a gateway to the alt-right. Simpati, in reference to the dog training idea, says if it works for Princess the Pit Bull, it'll work for Mike the couch punching wolf. True. Basically, Tabletop says I was an ANCAP before I found Destiny, so I'm positive data point for your proposal. Yeah. Well, basically, Tabletop, I'll try to make you mod right, but you're saying you're mod left now. Yeah. No big deals. I'm happy you're here. It was before that. Destiny was making the rounds arguing against the far right in 2017. Right. So accusing him of being like an alt-right pipeline is crazy pants, in my opinion. Rittenhouse debates. Dude, that was fire. I do remember the Rittenhouse debates. I was doing something called Too Long Didn't Watch back when I was still doing this part-time. And Too Long Didn't Watch, I would just watch all the classic debates and then kind of break them down and write down the arguments and all that kind of stuff. We probably should still do that, even though we're doing more current content, because I think that's more like algorithmically beneficial. However, 100%, I still think we should cover the Vosh Destiny Rittenhouse debate. We should probably cover the Hassan Destiny Kamala Harris debate. Anything that was big and blew up and kind of did damage to the Twitch and YouTube political scene, we should write down a list of all the big debates that happened that kind of need to be reviewed, and we should review those. No, if you start complaining for not getting donations like Bad Bunny did, I was behind in the stream. Oh, no problem, no problem. I'm not. No. Listen, I might say something selfish and stupid every now and then, but literally hanging out with dozens of people cross-platform. Literally, we're in the 70s. Hanging out with, effectively, you got to think about it this way, okay? Everybody dogs on under 100 viewer Andes, okay? But the truth is that think about it, the average classroom is 20 people, right? So effectively, there are 3.5 classrooms worth of people who are hanging out, having a good time, chatting it up in chat, doing donos, all that kind of stuff, and it gives me income. This is a privilege, not a right. Anytime that I feel selfish or stupid about it, I need to remind myself, we need to get a picture of Chud Logic. And like the way that communists hold up, pictures of Chairman Mao, we need to put a picture of Chud Logic in the back. So if we're ever feeling selfish or stupid about being a content creator for a job, then we just look at Chud Logic and we just remind ourselves to be humble. Basically tabletop. Don't worry, I'll drag you back. Mr. Geek says, before this election cycle, I thought Mike was the only guy having a couch fetish, but now now it's the vice president. True. Those were what pulled me into watching Tiny, then over to you and the Piss King. You guys are crazy today. You guys are having way too much fun. Oh, man. Hooligan 985 said your post-debate call with Vosh about Rittenhouse is the reason I subbed to you. Well, good. Good, Hooligan. I appreciate you being here. All right, sorry. Chat's having too much fun. We need to continue with the content.
To their debates because, frankly, they're kind of boring to me. But what caught my eye was this stream from February 2020 regarding that year's US Democratic primaries. Now, what you need to know is that Mike is a Bernie bro, and Destiny is big into supporting Biden and Pete Buttigieg. Destiny is reacting to a clip where Mike claims Pete is lying about being gay to grift.
I mean, I can easily defend the position that the DNC is implacably opposed to Bernie, and the timing of things has been at least interesting enough to comment on. And the other thing is about Pete being ashamed that he's gay, something I said last night, which is obviously true because he remained in the closet until 2015, which is an unbelievable thing for a political figure to remain in the closet.
A military guy from Indiana? God damn it! How fucking stupid would you have to be to say something like this?
He felt ashamed of his sexuality in 2015. He came out after the gay marriage decision in the Supreme Court. That's just an objective fact.
Now, what Mike said there is indeed not an objective fact. Pete came out of the closet 10 days before the Supreme Court ever made that decision. He wrote about it on the 16th, with the decision being made on the 26th. Now, upon seeing this clip, Destiny challenged Mike to another debate regarding his conspiracy.
I said, hey, buddy, want to talk about Iowa? About exactly what? The story there is relatively boring. I said, about conspiracies. You said you wanted to talk. He said, I don't think I've trafficked in any conspiracies other than to point out the media narrative being formed around an obviously disputed result. And then I said, we can talk about Pete's gayness as well. And Mike said, why would we talk about that? So then I linked Mike this clip right here.
Never mind. I'm not even going to say.
I think Super Duper, I do hate you.
I'm LGBTQ as well, and Pete's dog shit. He literally has less than 10% LGBTQ support.
Yeah, LGBTQ hates him, idiot.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Super.
They hate him because they see what he is. He's a conservative. He's
based.
A conservative, ashamed of being gay. So that's
based. And by the way, if you're gay in my chat, don't worry about it. I'm not saying that you need to hate yourself. I'm just saying that I like Pete.
That's what I wanted to talk to Mike about. and he didn't respond to that at all. So he left me on read on both of his clips because nobody has the actual fucking spine to support any of the shit that they say when they're preaching to the fucking choir, because all they do is get on here and peddle their bullshit ass conspiracy theories, and when somebody tries to hold them to task on it, they run the fuck away because they know that they're indefensible.
Many
All right, let me expand. Okay. So Mayor Pete, I'm gonna tell you the vibe several years ago. The vibes were that he was too young, inexperienced. He was the mayor from whatever town. Being a mayor while managing a city and being involved in politics isn't enough experience in order to, run the country. And then also he was kind of, Obama said it back then, which is Pete is too short and too gay to be president of the United States, which is possibly true, right? Now, that might even be true in 2028, I guess, where I don't know if the United States of America will be comfortable having an LGBTQIA, I guess just G, right? But they won't be ready to have a gay president by 2028. And I don't know how that's going to shake out, right? Now, that being said, we did watch Pete's interview with Andrew Schultz. He's like a comedian. I think it's Andrew Schultz, but he's a comedian and he did awesome. Like Pete Buttigieg did an awesome job articulating taxation, tariffs, economics, policy, rhetoric of the Trump admin, where the Trump admin isn't going to follow through on their supposedly like working class priorities, how the Democrat Party isn't prioritizing the right things, et cetera, et cetera. And so I like hearing from lefties that all the Democrats that I like are closet Republicans, because I'm effectively like, okay, good, because that's the person that I like. So if there was a Democrat that I wanted to do well in Democrat politics, it is literally, I want Pete Buttigieg to do well, and I want Pete Buttigieg style Democrats to do well, because they're, I don't know, intelligent, smart, policy wonks. They seem to care about the country, et cetera, et cetera. Grassroots Hegemon for another $10. Thank you kindly for the donation. You are the financial spine of the channel, and I do appreciate your charitable donations to our humble cause of making politics sane. Andrew Wilson might have been the only person to survive Rittenhouse unscathed. Rakita Law, Destiny to some degree, Carl Benjamin. It was a great slate wiping. Maybe. I watched the videos the same day, and I immediately knew it was like self-defense. I didn't know if the courts would see it that way, but I knew 100% that it was going to be self-defense. Because the videos were released within like 24 to 48 hours. Then Sunil says, if I was gay, Pete could get it any day. I'll tell him. If we're ever politically big enough that I can interview mainstream political figures and I can interview Pete, I'll tell him that Ved Sunil in chat is not gay. But if he was gay, he would be interested in Pete. Yeah. Nah, there are plenty of Americans, mostly Republicans, who would never vote for Pete being gay. I know. He just seems like an otherwise competent person. And I know that might seem like a sideswipe at gay people. I'm not trying to say gay people can't be competent. I'm just saying that if you were to evaluate that as a general election negative, then his otherwise rhetorical skill, his intelligence, his ability to articulate policy, his ability to be chill with people who might be his critics, I think there's just a lot of pros there that it's unfortunate that there might be a major con that is effectively something that he can't control. Nah, they're not looking for our best interests. We already know that they're pro-LGBTQ and not going to F over people like me. Now it's time for them to start looking after everyone else. Yeah, I guess. Andrew Wilson debated AP. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that for sure as far as content does. I'll add it to the docket. I think there's actually just almost too much content to consume. Pete does seem like a good dude. Let's be real. Most of America that wouldn't vote for Pete, it's because he's gay. They weren't voting Democrat no matter who was on the ticket anyways. I don't know. I think there might be some moderate and older homophobic Democrats who won't say that out loud, but it will reflect in polling. So I don't know if I agree with your assessment. Anyways, moving on. I need to use the restroom and get some water, but I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Mr. Rob's media. So you guys will probably have a few laughs while I'm grabbing some water, but I'll try to be back in 120 seconds.
Online would criticize Mike for this, since this sounds like a conspiracy Alex Jones would have, and not something that would be said by a progressive leftist. Destiny and Mike would do one more debate the following month, though nothing of note really occurs here. The two would never directly interact again, but Destiny has taken many shots at Mike over the years. This has caused a grudge match that persists to this day, and we'll get to that later on in this video. Destiny isn't the only sexual degenerate Mike is beefed with. There's also Vosh.
See, this is an example of the kind of structure that I'm referring to.
Yes, the worst people you know are fighting. Now, the original clip was taken down on Streamable for some reason, so we'll have to rely on Destiny's reaction here. By the way, it's been super hard finding the original sources for these clips. Mike doesn't archive much of his streams at all, unlike a lot of other Hassan orbiters. There's no proper VOD archive channels either, probably because he has no passionate fans at all. Like, Danos has multiple, since she has a lot of simps in her audience for obvious reasons. Destiny seems to think Mike places DMCA takedowns on various clips of his. Anyways, back to the subject at hand. In an early 2021 stream, Mike is reacting to some random Twitter user's BreadTube tier list. He's incredibly pissed that he's at the bottom, and Vosh and Destiny are at the top.
So when I saw this tier list, it's like unbearable Mike from PA. Destiny is excellent. I was like, what? And Vouch, I was like, what is this? What is this tier list? And then it went ping. Oh, I know why this person hates me. I remembered it. And my great memory kicked in. Top reply. Well, second top reply. The other one is Vouch saying good list. Interesting. Top reply. I was like, oh, I remember this account. You said it was cringe when I called out Destiny and your own followers owned you. LMAO. 802 likes. Now I can tell you something, chat.
802 likes, guys. I totally owned him because I got 802 likes.
This is one of my favorite moments.
My replies. Okay. My replies to tweets typically get like 10 to 50 likes. Okay.
The reason why this got more engagement, Mike, is because it showed up on your feed because you retweeted your own fucking tweet.
Guys, look, I ratioed this person. Aren't I cool now? Please accept me. I'm a half-rate political streamer.
Also, I'd like to make an offer to cringe political posts. Xavier Online. If you are 25 years or older, 25 years old or older, I will PayPal you $50. You are a child. And by the way, if this is the way you approach politics, please do not watch my stream.
So actually, let's go ahead just for fun. Let's do analysis of their tier list. Okay. Sin Patty says Pete is what the OG pride strive for: a guy doing good work who has a loving husband instead of a wife. Yeah, exactly. The argument, you know, bear in mind, I'm an older soul, so I was around in the 90s and thousands when there was the normalization of gay folk. Was that effectively like gay people are just like you and me, and they're effectively straight people who, you know, happen to be gay, like, right? So they work, they pay their bills, they have people they love, they do this, they do that, they grocery shop, blah, 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 blah. And so, of course, I think there's some criticism that you could make of some subcultures within the gay community that do a lot of hard drugs, a lot of partying, and a lot of promiscuous sex. But the truth is that it's hopefully not the homosexuality that's driving all of those behaviors. It's partially social rejection, and then it's partially like a hedonistic rejection of, I don't know, traditional conservative perspectives on drugs and sex, right? So if you want gay people to be more conservative in the ways in which they interact with sex and drugs, you probably need to treat them like decent human beings who otherwise, if they work their jobs, pay their bills, take care of their family, take care of their community, they are people who are worthy of your respect and tolerance and maybe even your embracing, you know, as fellow community members. So that's where I think conservatives have it a little bit backwards, where if you want gay people to be more conservative when they act out, you know, socially in the social space, then you need to be kind and you need to be understanding. Exactly. Yeah. Sin Patty, I think, is understanding what I'm getting at. Grassroots Hegemon says $10. I meant more so that's when they got rich and proportionally more degenerate and silly. I'm not sure what that's in reference to specifically, but either way, we will guard against getting rich and silly ourselves. Sen Patty says anybody can be hedonistic, but those who are scorned by the village will be more likely to burn it down. Sen Patty, that's exactly what I'm saying. 100%. Christian Blair says they aren't breaking the law overly worse than non-gay drug users, and they aren't banging kids. Well, right. So if they're banging kids, then you punish them for banging kids, not because they're gay, right? Same thing with somebody who's homosexual but ends up abusing children. You're not punishing, or heterosexual, excuse me. If they're heterosexual but they're abusing children, you're not punishing them because they have an immutable characteristic, which is their heterosexuality. You're punishing them because they did a grievous social violation, right? We gotta separate these things out in order to identify what we're actually against. I don't think I'm against homosexual people existing or having homosexual impulses. I am against doing so many drugs it burns out and destroys your body. I am against doing orgies that end up giving you communicable diseases and bad relationships. I am against not taking care of your family and community, right? That's what I'm against. So I'm not against gay people. I'm against antisocial, promiscuous, hedonistic behaviors. And I'm also against it for straight people too. So that differentiation is important. Void a Parrot says, you know what I think about would be even more funnier if the U.S. had a trans president? Blair White 2028. Send Patty says, whoa, we do not do nuance on the internet there, buddy. Yeah. I need to start screaming about how the IDF is a terrorist organization and how we just need to wipe Israel off the face of the map. Then I'll truly make it as a streamer. Harmonic says, on one hand, you have part of the culture that's too laissez-faire, and the other part that says no to everything doesn't lead to good outcomes. Of course, we need each other temperamentally. Liberals and progressives need conservatives to reel their crazy BS in, and conservatives need liberals and progressives in order to not have a stick up their butt and also allow the change that needs to happen in society in order for it to improve over time. It's cool that we've organized socially around these like moral values that we can articulate in a really complex way. But the truth is that temperamentally, we need each other. Conservatives need liberals and liberals and progressives need conservatives. My understanding of the psych literature is that 90% of CSA is about power plays, not actual. I don't know about that stuff because basically tabletop, in my opinion, like saying that assault is not about achieving an outcome. It's about the power. To me, sounds weirdly analogous to robbing someone is not about the money. It's about the power. Which you can make an argument that there's infinitely easier ways to make money, and therefore pointing a gun at someone in order to take their property has something to do with power. But to say that it exclusively has to do with power, I think is nonsensical, effectively. Dr. Zayas is bug chasing. Yeah, that's one of the most disgusting, degenerate subculture phenomena that I hope is largely on the internet and not actually real. And if it's actually real and you knew somebody who sought out to get sexually transmitted diseases because they had some kind of weird kink for it, I would strongly advise you get the fudge away from that person because they are probably a terrible human being. I just said no nuance. My apologies. No, Connor, my daydream of the 1970s is important and we need to go back to that. Yeah, exactly. Watching Margot Robbie dance in the 1970s is more important than actual America that's going on right now. Yeah, basically Tabletop says bug chasing needs a flamethrower solution. Agreed. Now, Grassroots was saying it was in reference to the prior super chat. So Grassroots says, Andrew Wilson might not have been the only person to survive Rittenhouse unscathed. Rakita, Law, Destiny, to some degree, Carl Benjamin. It was a great slate wiping. I meant more so that when they got rich and proportionally more degenerate and silly. That's true. What happened is a lot of people, similar to, I think, the Johnny Depp trial. There's a lot of creators who got really popular off of covering the Johnny Depp trial, and then some of them made way too much money and they lost their minds. And then same things with Rittenhouse. I agree with you. Some people got really popular off of legal breakdowns of the Rittenhouse trial and have subsequently crashed out because they received so much cash and media attention. Agreed. We need to find something like that we can ride into celebrity, but then we need to be smart enough in order to not become degenerate, drug-addicted freaks who destroy your family. What's your take on rehabilitative versus punitive? Rehabilitate when you can and punish things that are unforgivable, and then God can try to forgive them. I think that like terrorism, serial killing, infanticide, and maybe a few other crimes, maybe like serial rape, those should be capital punishment. And if God wants to forgive those people, that's totally up to him. And then we should expedite our capital punishment. However, effectively everything else, I would say, you can, if you have the capacity to be rehabilitated, we should try to rehabilitate you, right? All right. Anyways, moving on.
Please do not watch my stream.
Oh yeah, this person's the child. Not the full-grown man who punched a couch out of frustration because his favorite e-girl didn't want to touch him.
So, like, fuck off. And if that's what your politics is, you just stand for a whole bunch of people, you're an asshole.
This is such massive
I think there's another fire clip in here.
irony coming from this guy. His entire image now is standing for his
I'm gonna work
song
out a
and
little bit,
defending
too.
him against his political enemies. Following this stream, Mike would challenge Vosh to a debate, trying to make him seem like a coward and throwing random insults around.
And then, so anyway, this little rat fuck, and Vouch really is a rat fuck, just so you understand this. Not only does he doesn't know his ass from the hole in the ground, he's a rat fucker.
Hey, Vosh is not a rat fucker, okay? Don't besmirch his good name. He's a horse fucker.
I'll make it clear.
True.
You can write this down. I want to fuck a woman as a horse. None of this is a secret. To be clear, many jokes have been made about this, but I stand by it. My moral principles are rock solid.
Oh, sorry. He wants to be the horse. A horse.
Listen, guys, this is why we are not watching this on Valor Media Network, because 95% of this is not politics. It's literally just progressives and leftists being gooner degenerate freaks. That's why it's on my home channel. Conservative liberalism says recidivism rate for CSA is insanely high. There needs to not be a second chance. Yeah. Lock them up. And then food shops in Queeman can become psychotherapists who work in the prisons, and they can give lolly content to CSA offenders, and they can monitor and try to coach them out of their proclivities. They can do that since they think it's a good idea. The majority of CSA is committed by older minors who don't go on to reoffend later in life. Well, right. So if you have teenagers, I'm not saying that this is exactly what you're talking about, but let's say that there's an emotionally stunted, stupid 17-year-old, and they hook up with, I don't know, like a 14-year-old or something like that. Now, is that outside of Romeo and Juliet? Yeah. Is it, well, depends on the state, right? Is that outside of Romeo and Juliet? Yeah. Is it bad for a 14-year-old to be having those experiences? Probably. Is it going to stunt and mess up their growth? Probably. Do both teenage children need to spend the rest of their life in jail or prison for having experiences with people within their peer group, plus or minus like 3 to 5 years? Probably not. So I agree with that. I think what we would need to do, though, in order to actually criminalize effectively, though, is you need to differentiate that from, I don't know, people who are molesting prepubescent children, right? And you also need to eliminate ephebophiles, effectively people who are exclusively, I think primary and exclusive is the thing that I hear Queeman say all the time. So primarily and exclusively attracted to teenagers, and so they effectively predate on very young women who are either underage or like just turned 18 because that's what they find attractive. And so they emotionally and physically abuse people substantively more immature than themselves. That's what basically we need to look out for predators, right? That's what we need to look out for. John says, all of this makes me hate being a progressive sometimes. Listen, I hate the Republican Party so bad. It makes me like physically ill sometimes. To be fair to Vosh, Centaur Dujans. No, Vencinio, bad. You're on the path to degeneracy. Yeah. Sure. Okay. Anyways, moving on.
Person who fucks children, my bad.
We're getting distracted.
Mike began leaking DMs of Vosh, which just made him look like a bitch. A lot of it is Mike whining about the hate he gets online. The two would finally debate, and to be honest, Vosh fucking destroyed him. Mike resorts to violent threats and tries to body shame Vosh, which results in a verbal beatdown.
You came
look
in here
through-
and postured and tried to threaten me,
and
I laughed in your fucking fat face.
Threaten you?
Because
Oh, my fat
a jog
face.
around your apartment building would knock you out. I would push you over with a feather.
What are you? Wait. Unironically, what are you talking about right now?
Do you have a bad
Wait,
memory?
how did I threaten you? What?
So, real quick, Dicky Boy says, I just don't know if the death penalty gives enough benefit over life in prison. So, Dicky Boy, my solution to this is basically capital punishment should be exclusively for beyond, not even beyond a reasonable doubt, beyond a shadow of a doubt. And then we should expedite it. Okay. Hooligan 985 says, gotta go make $1. Well, go make that $1, friend. I appreciate you dropping by. Thank you for hanging out with us. So, the capital punishment, the way that I would handle it is beyond a shadow of a doubt. For instance, with Doshkar Zarnaev, that dude did it. His brother was involved in the crime. His brother got killed by law enforcement. They recovered his cell phones. They recovered his laptop. They are talking about the bombing of the Boston Marathon. They admitted to it after the fact once they were, detained. They fled from law enforcement when confronted. They got into a firefight with law enforcement once confronted. Doshkar Sarnaev 100% did the Boston Marathon bombing in concert with his brother and also got into a gunfight and pipe bomb fight with law enforcement. That dude did it, and he killed like half a dozen people. Boom. We know he did it. We proved it beyond a shadow of a doubt. He can have one appeal just to make sure that we actually have it completely right, and then that dude should be overdosed on heroin within a month or two. The fact that he's still not put to death is ridiculous. Now, when it comes to, I think it's like Scott and Lacey Peterson, right? That's the guy in San Francisco, I think, whose wife disappeared, his pregnant wife disappeared, and her corpse was found in the San Francisco Bay outside of Alcatraz. And there was nobody else who really would have done it or had a motivation to do it. So he was convicted because there was no real other motive. And he also had like access, opportunity. He had the boat. He rented the boat, all that kind of stuff. And so as a result, there's like a 95% chance that he did it, but there's still that 5% chance that he's innocent. So as a result, in that kind of case, I would say there's not enough to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Scott Peterson killed Lacey Peterson, if I'm getting the names correct. And therefore, you can't do capital punishment in that case. That's the delineation between capital and life in prison that I would make. Basically, Tabletop says the math has to be done in a few different organizations due to appeals process that I would very not be okay with them getting rid of, especially now, show that capital punishment is actually more expensive than life in prison. Yeah, but that's because of the appeals process, and that's because of the drugs they have to do. We could overdose people on fentanyl. Dude, I'll go to the wrong side of town. I'll get you fentanyl for $50, and then we can OD on fentanyl, okay? Like, if there's somebody that we need to kill, we could literally just overdose them on opiates. What's the benefit? You don't have to take care of them. Dicky Boy, I'm going to point this out to you. Not all of you guys are pro-animal, but I'm pro-animal. I like animals. Every human being that you keep alive, you have to slaughter thousands of animals in order to keep them alive. You have to harvest thousands of acres of land in order to keep them alive. You have to keep them alive through electricity and air conditioning. So if they're going to reject society by slaughtering dozens of their fellow citizens, why would you perpetuate their existence by slaughtering dozens of animals and thousands of acres of land to their benefit? Nope. Bye. You don't want to live among society? You went ahead and attacked society? You killed dozens of innocent people? Bye. See you in the next life. All right. Let's get off of that, though, because it's not a sexy topic. Let's continue.
You literally said, where do you live? I'm going to come and get you.
I said you were being weird about sexual harassment, and then I said, where are you at? Maybe we could come over. Like it was like a joke, like a flirty, but you were the one who unironically talked about being able to beat me up. Are you trying to like do the keyboard warrior reverse psychology on me?
What? No,
you just did it. You postured again. How tall are you? How much do you weigh? I actually want to get the stats down. Hold on. Can we get like a height comparison? You looked about 6-7 inches shorter than Bad Bunny in that clip. Let me see if I can.
Oh my God! Wait, what do you think that clip was? Since you're holding on to it,
embarrassing.
Like Destiny's Beauty.
I don't know.
What was it? What was it?
Wait, how tall are you?
How?
Wait, you want to fight me? I just want to get the stats down. Come on. What are the?
I'm 1 inch taller than Destiny, which should be enough for you, right?
Hold up. How tall is it?
Come on. What are the?
I'm 1 inch taller than Destiny, which should
He's a short king. Listen, I like Destiny a lot. I'm not trying to dog him on his height, but yeah, he's like 5'7", 5'8", somewhere in there. Like, he's not quite 5'10", but he's probably close to 5'10", right? So I think that Mike from PA might be like 5'9", 5'10", somewhere in there.
Should be enough for you, right? That'll make you more servile.
Well, I don't
right?
even know how tall Destiny is. It ranges from 5'2" to 5'7", depending on who's talking. So wait, are you like 5'3"? Are you 5'8"?
Holy fucking shit, dude! Listen to yourself.
Oh wait, you're the one who talked about fighting me. I'm just trying to get the stats down. Wait, how much do you weigh?
Listen to yourself.
What weight class are you in? Hold on.
God, this should have been the main event at Crater Clash 3. Just two politically brain-rotted tough guys seeing who's the bigger loser. Now, much of this debate is about Mike's use of the term.
Listen, you guys don't agree with me, and that's fine. If this is something that I'm just cringe about and you guys don't like it, that's totally fine. However, there are some things that are said online that if they were said in person would result in a fist fight, okay? The way that Queeman talks, the way that Vosh sometimes talks, the way that Destiny talks, sometimes that would end in a fist fight. So as an example, there was somebody the other day, Rises, who I like and who has donated to the channel twice. Thank you, Rises. Parasocial love to you and yours. I'm not hating, okay? But we were talking about abortion and how my mom was pro-life, and Rises said a flippant comment. He said, so your mom likes sexual assault, huh? Or he likes sex predators or something like that, right? And so if you say that, let's say that we're hanging out outside, we're talking about politics, I bring up my mom, I'm talking about her political perspective, and then you say, your mom, my mom, is a saint, and then you say, Dorothy Mantooth is a saint, but then you say, oh, your mom likes sex criminals? Like, dude, I'm going to step. Like, I'm going to step up to you and I'm going to be like, excuse me, what did you say? And then if you're like, and then you double or triple down and you're like, I said your mom likes sex criminals. At that point, I'm probably jacking you in the face, right? If I have to go to jail or prison because you're talking shit about my mom, it is what it is. Like, you know, she'll come bail me out, okay? So basically, you know, if you guys don't like that, you think it's cringe, that's totally fine. I'm perfectly okay with that. I am perfectly fine with spending a night in jail for knocking someone out, for, you know, talking shit about my mom to my face in a crazy fucking way. That's totally okay. I'm good with that consequence. Basically, Tabletop says, Short King, he's 5'9"-ish. I'm over here. Real Short King, 5'5". Step to me. True. Would you spend a year in jail? Not unless I killed him. That's like simple battery. Simple battery is like nothing. Simple battery is like a second-degree misdemeanor. Simple battery, Florida. I think it's a second-degree misdemeanor. Sorry. Clipped for future arrest. Well, if you talk shit about my mom, I'm going to bring it up that it's effectively fighting words. Fighting words can be a defense in a battery case. Effectively, if you start a fight by using fighting words, you can be viewed as the aggressor even if you didn't throw the first punch. Sorry, where did I Google it? In Florida, a simple battery is a first-degree misdemeanor, which means it can carry the penalty of up to 1 year in jail or 1 year probation. Sure. I'll do that. That's fine. So yeah, don't talk shit about my mom. We'll be all right. Don't worry about it. That's all right. I'll spend a few days in jail for my mom. That's fine. I love her enough. She carried me for 9 months. I'll spend 3 days in jail for her. Destiny would probably win in a fight between him and Mike from PA or Vosh. No. Let's be real. Vosh is like 6'4". He's like 200 and some odd pounds, even after losing weight. If Mike from PA is 1 inch taller than 1 inch taller than Destiny, then the way that it would break down is Vosh would win. In my opinion, Vosh would win against both. Vosh would win against Destiny. Vosh would win against Mike from PA. I think between Vosh and I, it would be a contest. I don't think he knows that much about fighting, but we are physically similar in stature. I think he's 6 foot in change, and he's also 200 pounds plus. I'm 6'4", and I'm like 245 right now. I actually lost some weight. And so as a result, we would have a physical contest. After that, I think that it really comes down to Steven is a psycho, but Mike from PA had that perfect couch punching shoulder and hip rotation. So I think if they trained, Mike from PA would probably be able to edge it out. But if they didn't train, then Steven's psycho might overcome Mike's lack of physical ability. So I would actually go Vosh, clearly the winner. Then I would go Destiny and Mike from PA toss up. That's my analysis. You're a 38-yard tall person. You're the freak, lol. I mean, you're not wrong. But have any of the three of them taken a punch to the face before? Probably not. But I think Vosh has he has a face that looks like it could take a punch. I'm just being real. This is what was his old name? Irish Laddie. He is Polish and Irish. Genetically, he could probably get hit in the face. It would probably work. So Mike from PA, Mike from Pennsylvania. No offense, he looks like a soft boy. He looks like a fat Korean K-pop band member. Okay, if a Korean K-pop lead singer was male, number one, and two, skinny fat, that's what Mike from PA at this point in the video looks like. And now he's like fat. So shattering his glasses, yeah. But I'm talking about like boxing stuff, right? Just go for the balls. Stat, you have been wild today. Everybody discounts Mike's finishing move. Couch mover, Iron Fist. You guys are crazy. Is Beard a vision for punches? If you're saying that his beard gives him a target for punching, I actually don't know what you're saying. Having a fave that can take a punch and having a face that can take a punch and a face that needs punch go hand in hand. True. Chat's popping off, but they're having a good time, and so am I. All right, let's continue.
We're socialist, which refers to a 20th century political movement from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Vosh believes Mike is using the wrong definition of it to justify a solution to the issue of a brain drain. This makes the conversation heated, and Mike has a meltdown.
You solve it through sewer socialism. This is another thing you don't know what it is, probably.
Just answer. How do you solve it?
Sewer socialism. So you focus on creating the best possible public services, you fund education, and you provide an opportunity for people to maximize their potentialities. You can't control everything by a top-down privatization, TIF-based model.
So, wait, you didn't answer the question.
So I did.
You don't know what brain drain is. That's okay. I'll explain it to you. Brain drain is when all the people who get degrees in your city.
This is why you're
no. It's okay. You can learn.
Mike, posture.
Mike,
what's a TIF?
Mike, this is a learning opportunity. That's okay. Hold on.
You don't know anything about politics. It's embarrassing. I'm talking to you.
No, it's okay, Mike. No, we're almost here, okay? So brain drain is when people who get like college degrees in your city.
Politics. It's embarrassing. No, it's okay. You're almost there. We're almost there. And thousands of people listen to you.
Mike, wait, hold on. Hundreds of thousands.
Vosh would soon hang up on him, and Mike went on to rant about the debate on Twitter. He was pretty much blocking anyone that slightly, even jokingly, disagreed with him. So yet again, Mike got laughed off. He was shown to be a hot-headed idiot who lost the debates with Sex Pessany and Vosh the horse-fucking pedophile.
Thank you, Rises. Parasocial love, bud. Thanks for the dono.
We have at some point in our lives been going fucking crazy on some hentai site, and we've been fucking stroking as hard and fast as we can, and then after we nut, we go back, look over our history chat, and we go like, oh, geez.
Yeah, this is why I'm not watching this on Valor, by the way.
Oh, boy. Some of these girls looked pretty young. Okay, I don't give a fuck.
Well, let's talk about the difference between story and how you tell the story.
Since Mike was on bad terms with Bad Bunny and was despised amongst Destiny and Vosh's communities, he needed a new connection to help with his online career.
Bruh. Oh. Are you guys seeing this? Is he watching? Sorry if you're not watching your screen and I'm making ridiculous noises. I think I'm watching Mike from PA watching Hassan Piker dancing with Hassan Piker, which honestly, this is gayer than gay pornography. I've seen gay pornography flash, of course, because I've never seen extended scenes of gay pornography, but I've seen thumbnails of gay pornography that were less gay than this.
Here.
Hold on. Let's just so you believe me, okay? I just want you to think, okay? God forbid. Number one, don't consume pornography, right? Don't consume it. It's bad for your brain, okay? Number 2, if you consume pornography, sometimes there will be, things that you don't want to watch mixed in with the things that you might want to watch, right? And I want you to think about the things that you don't want to watch. And I want you to think about if they made you cringe, if they gave you like I'm not into that, ew. If it gave you that feeling, I want you to think about that feeling. And then I want you to see if this feeling, I want you to see if this feeling is replicated by watching the next 5-second clip. All right, you guys ready? Do you have that feeling in your mind?
Since Mike was on bad terms with Bad Bunny and was despised amongst Destiny and Vosh's communities, he needed a new connection to help with his online career. Hassan Piker.
I've not heard of Mike.
Bruh.
It's good to meet you though.
Good to meet you. How you doing?
Okay, so I wanted to have both of you guys on because one, I've seen some of your forecasts. I don't know what the fuck any of that means, Chaz.
Personally, I think Mike used his connection to Bad Bunny to integrate himself into Hassan's orbits, which failed at first. Hassan initially saw Mike as a very cringeworthy individual, a take many could get behind.
Voided Parrot isn't wrong, okay? So Voided Parrot says ad was targeting Connor. Number 1, they had chair workouts. I'm literally working out in the background right now. I'm doing shoulders in the background. So they knew what I was doing somehow because I've talked about working out in the office before, and I encourage you to get some dumbbells and work out during stream as well. Work out. If you have me in the background at your office job, if you're somebody who's, well, maybe you don't need to work out if you're stocking shelves. If you're stocking shelves, you're already working out, right? But you know what I'm saying, right? If you got a desk job, if you're chilling at home, it's your day off, blah, 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 blah. Get some dumbbells, do a very simple workout while we're chilling together and hanging out during stream. And then the second ad that we got was about story structure. And Voided Parrot is like, ooh, that was targeted for you as well. It was, man. I have a narrative, just sharing really quick. I have a narrative of my own life that I probably told in the least interesting way possible. I actually, I wrote a book, but it's effectively just like a narrative of what I did. And I want to go back eventually. This is like a decades-long project. It's not even something that's on my radar right now. But I do want to go back and then narratively build it beat for beat into something that's actually compelling rather than just like a regurgitation of experiences. So eventually I do want to learn from a acclaimed author on how to create complex and compelling story structure. So you're not wrong, Voided Parrot. The tax folder comment just broke me, lol. Yeah, listen, the good news is you don't have to worry about anything on here. Literally the worst thing that could happen is on my Twitter, I follow for follow, and there's some sex degenerates on Twitter. But besides that, I don't look at or do anything gross on my computer ever. So, yeah. I'm too busy painting company heroes while waiting for an email telling me I got a work programming already. Ooh, good for you, basically, Tabletop. That sounds awesome. Telling me I can get to work programming. Ooh, so you're waiting for employment while painting miniatures. That's dope. Congratulations.
I'm getting your attention. I feel like I touched a vampire touching holy water.
Can I help you?
Well, I think they want to go in.
Okay. Should I close it? That's fine. So the guy can.
Stop! Don't send that to me. This is like the girl and her moderator in the car levels of cringe. How did this not make it the NIMS how did this not make it the NIMS cringe of the year compilation?
And this isn't the only time Hassan has mocked Mike from PA, as there's also the Project Veritas incident. Project Veritas is a far-right activist group known for filming deceptive videos to make their targets look as bad as possible. At some political convention, Mike was hovering around AOC, working up the courage to talk to her. He was met by a Project Veritas worker in a BLM shirt, who asked Mike to introduce him to AOC, which he obliged. Actually, I don't need to explain the rest of the story because Mike told it himself.
Mike didn't know this guy was with Project Veritas and introduced him to AOC? Wait, really?
All right, it's fair to say that I gave the guy the opportunity to get in there because I was talking to AOC, and then I had told him in the elevator, after I'm done, you can try to swoop in for the photo. So I gave him advice on how to get this selfie because he lied to me.
My favorite part is that during the Project Veritas clip, you can see Mike in the background absolutely seething, though Mike soon claimed they cut out part where he called the guy a scumbag. Hassan was not happy about the situation and made fun of Mike numerous times.
And we shifted to a reality where chatters don't blame me for Project Veritas. It was a funny story and they botched it. I didn't introduce them to AOC fucking chat. Nope, don't believe it. We shifted into that reality already. Mike from PA, I can't believe you fucking introduced AOC to the Project Veritas guy.
Yeah, can I say though? Listen, we're flipping and flopping between this video between absolutely loathing Mike from PA and having Schadenfreude every time he does something cringe to almost feeling bad for the guy, right? And I feel like Hassan is fucking with him, right? I don't think Hassan is actually saying like, you're a bad human being. You accidentally introduce a conservative plant to AOC. He's just saying, that's what chat is saying. It's funny, and it's funny to make fun of you for it, right? I don't think Hassan is actually saying that that's true. He's just screwing with him.
I love that video, dude. Mike from PA in the background going. Oh, it's so funny. It's such a beautiful video.
Nowadays,
Harmonix says, is the book out yet? No. I just have, I probably got 500 pages that I need to edit and make compelling. So, because all it is like a regurgitation of experiences and stories. It's not a coherent thematic narrative. So no, I need to rewrite it and to actually be something compelling. Basically, Tabletop says, I'm waiting for an email from another programmer telling me he's done his part on an API for remote database preparing for me to code interfacing and handling. Can't code until I see a hold the data myself. So for now, I paint. Dude, that's beautiful, man. I can't think of a better way. So I'm built to be social. I'm not going to lie. Like I'm built to yap, talk about current events, news, all that kind of stuff. But I understand that there's people who don't like talking that much and don't like being that crazy social. So I can't think of a better job than a tech. I'm not saying you're working from home. Maybe you're painting at the office. I have no idea. But I can't think of a better job for tech bros than working a tech job that's like really important, pays a good wage, all that kind of stuff. But then it has like weird breaks during the day. So you can either work for like an hour really aggressively and then have like an hour off, work for an hour really aggressively on and off over and over and over again. And then in the interim, you can like paint and listen to podcasts. That sounds sick from somebody who does. I actually enjoy painting miniatures. So if that's what your job is like, that's awesome. You writing a book? No. When I was actually just sharing it because you guys were asking, when I was in law enforcement, sometimes there would be times between midnight and 5 a.m. where literally nothing was going on, right? And so I would be patrolling neighborhoods over and over and over again. And sometimes the neighborhoods were so small that I was literally like on the same block every 10 minutes because I was just hitting the same streets over and over again to make sure there was no burglaries, right? And if there was a slow night where I didn't see anybody out on the street, there was no gunfire, there was no this, there was no that, sometimes or if I was in a more chill part of town, I would find a very visible parking area to be in. That way, if somebody needed to flag me down, they could flag me down. And then I would sit down and I would just write out all of my experiences from enlisting, the military, high school, all that kind of stuff. And it's effectively an autobiographical narrative, probably from when I was like, I don't know, 17 to 23. So it's an autobiographical narrative. But like I said, it's not written in such a way to be consumed. At least I don't think that it would be successful commercially. It needs to be rewritten and restructured so I can communicate the same information, focus on what's compelling to an audience that might not be focused on every single detail of my life. And it needs to have thematic beats in order to be an easy read. And so that would take a lot of editing and that would take a lot of intention. And I just don't have the time or energy for it right now. So obviously long-term, I would love to write that. I would love to write a compelling semi-autobiographical, either fiction or nonfiction book. I would love to do that. But I also, everybody wants to be an author, but it takes a lot to be a successful author. I would rather be a successful author rather than just throw out my half-assed autobiography onto Amazon and have 2 people buy it and one of them read it, Sim Patty says, love me remote work, love me pajama days, simple as. So true. Grassroots says, I'm a techie. True, true, true. Remote work is best work. True. You guys are just spitting truth. I wish my great uncle wrote a book. He was state patrol for almost 40 years. He'd light up a pipe and tell stories for hours at family reunions. Conserve. I mean, yeah, dude, law enforcement is just war story after war story after war story after war story. I legitimately feel I would want to write a book about my experience as a Marine because so much of it, honestly, like Full Metal Jacket, the boot camp scene is what I lived for 13 weeks. Like the boot camp scenes from Full Metal Jacket are so compelling because even after 40 to 50 years, that was set in the 70s. I served in 2000. So it was like literally 30 years difference that it did not change at all. But like, they were more physically abusive in the movie than when I was in boot camp. But as far as like vibes, drill instructors being terrifying human beings, the mix of dark humor and fatalism and death mixed with like a cult of the Marine Corps is a cult filled with like a militaristic cult that worships death. Everything in Full Metal Jacket, especially the boot camp scenes, was like 100% accurate. And I would say I had like an 80% experiential overlap with what they showed in Full Metal Jacket. And then after that, there's of course nuances of the War on Terror, like combat training, pre-deployment training, IEDs, guerrilla warfare, counterinsurgency, the preference for Afghanistan as a conflict zone over Iraq for some veterans, the War on Terror as a whole, the civil war inside Iraq. There are so many cool historical details that are trapped in the War on Terror that I learned over personal experience and personal research that I would love to be able to make a compelling narrative that allowed other people to experience what I experienced and learn what I learned. I just don't think I'm that talented right now, or at least if I have the raw information needs to be channeled into an entertaining product in order to be commercially exciting. Basically, Tabletop says, I'm self-employed, run my own web dev firm. I would and used to stream painting, except I'm still recovering from long-term poisoning that gave me chronic fatigue. I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. It's getting a lot better, but not yet where I can handle my wage work and properly side hustle with streaming again simultaneously. I actually love debating politics. Oh, that's awesome, dude. I hope you rejoin the scene. Are you at Hassan's bestie yet or nah? No. Ali, I know that you started the stream and you're probably waiting for me to start the Hassan content, but realistically, I'm just going to stream as long as I feel like streaming. And we're still in the like from PA thing. It's been like 2 hours. We're still memeing on Mike from PA, but we've had a lot of fun. I think chat and I have had a lot of fun, to be honest. How many donuts per hour did you have, Connor? 0, dude. I did not start eating donuts until I was done with law enforcement because I didn't want to get fat and I didn't want to have a heart attack because there was so much stress in law enforcement. Sin Patty says, my favorite thing about my remote job is that I'm the personality hire. I lead meetings because I talk too much. Based. Me too. Sorry, I accidentally clicked on something that I wasn't supposed to. Does death cult and feeling of being a mindless soldier contribute to a national project predispose the Marines military to men? Yeah, of course. Marshal service 100% is like, I would say it appeals on an 80-20 ratio to men. And I think that the Army and the Marine Corps have those ratios. And then I think the Air Force, because it's more intellectual, does actually attract more women. Excuse me. Same thing with the Navy.
Hassan has no ill will towards Mike, viewing him as one of his many loyal orbiters who will adamantly defend him no matter what. These people dick suck Hassan. They view him as the de facto leader of their political faction. They treat going after Hassan as a direct attack on their political beliefs, no matter what the criticisms of him are. But while researching for this video, I have to ask, how genuine is this? Does Mike actually hold these political beliefs, or is he a grifter? Now, I don't use the term grifter loosely. There's loads of people I've covered that I don't think are grifters, even Denims or Noah Samson, but I theorize that Mike is, and I present my case now. First of all, you already know that Mike started off as a Republican, and only switched parties to run for an election on his mother's behalf. He then slowly assimilated himself into leftist spaces, and began interacting with anyone who can get him clout. Becoming a Hassan waiting room streamer was the final outcome. Being in a comfy position with an echo chamber audience don't question him at all. If that's not convincing enough for you, let me present you with more evidence. In a December 2019 episode of the Raj Royale podcast, Mike gets called out as a commie grifter.
Wait, Mike, if you're not a tanky, then why do you have the tanky emote? Or is that just grifting?
Making fun of you dumb fuck centrists who can't tell the difference between
Pivoting.
Wait, isn't that what PewDiePie does? How do we hold
So this is
PewDiePie
the point,
accountable
right?
for what
So,
he does when
one
you
at a
use
time.
like, the literal Soviet fucking font and everything and all the Soviet fucking colors?
Soviet font?
Yeah,
they spoke Russian.
You have the
Fucking
Soviet
dumbass.
Soviet font. You use red and yellow as the coloration on
Red.
your Twitch
Red
channel.
is literally the color of mainstream labor movement to the left. You're dumb. You're too fucking stupid.
Wait, so red combined with the Soviet Union font has nothing.
Gen X. You and I need to talk about that either online or offline. Hey, y'all, can't watch because I get to talk about carbon capture legislation for 12 hours today. So fun. If you haven't heard of carbon capture and sequestration, Google it. It's important. Gen X, I am one of the most rabid, curious people about carbon capture. So effectively, I'll actually pull it up. There's this technology that captures carbon from the air, and it can either be stored or it can be recycled into more carbon products, carbon capture. And I think that they did carbon capture cost. I think they actually did it where it can be fairly inexpensive, $15 to $120 per metric ton of CO2 captured. So what I would do, this is honestly exactly what I would do. If I was the government, I would take this $15 to $120 per metric ton of CO2 captured. I would pass it on to the oil companies. The oil companies would, of course, pass it on to the consumers. But what I would do is say, if we are going to produce this much carbon every single year, then what we're going to do is we're going to have oil companies and therefore consumers build in this cost per metric ton of CO2 into the cost of gasoline. That way, the United States can get to either flat carbon or even negative carbon. And so as a result, we can substantively reduce it so we don't have anthropogenic, which is human-caused climate change. So that would be my 100%. I would pass this on to the cost of what would you call it? I would pass this cost on to oil companies and gasoline users 100%. So Gen X, I don't know if you already disappeared, but I would 100% love to talk to you about that. Then trees do this as well. Dude Mansu, I agree with you, but we also use trees. So if we're using trees trees are gay. That's actually a great point, Crash, you touched upon. That's a better point than the point that I was going to make. Number one, trees are gay and lib coded. All right. Number two, trees do this as well. We consume and use trees. So if we are actively cutting down trees for lumber, then we're not using them as CO2 filtration systems. Also, it's very difficult to track CO2 filtration from trees, whereas it's very easy to track CO2 filtration from the industrial machinery, because with the industrial machinery, you can literally track exactly how much you're capturing. They're doing this in Texas. I remember Crenshaw advocating for it. Base, dude. Maybe the world is changing for the better. I have no idea. But what I would love to do, so what happened in the 70s is everybody was worried about climate change in reference to a new ice age, because technically we're supposed to be going into a new ice age. And what's going on, though, is the planet is warming up, right? Which is kind of scary. And so if we were having a new ice age, nobody would care about carbon because it would effectively be fighting the ice age, right? And then this reply comment from Dude Mansu is awesome. But sorry, you interrupted my point with your awesome chat. So the point is, though, that you can track the carbon, you can build it into the cost of petroleum, you can pass the cost down to the oil consumers and the oil companies, and it's not going to be prohibitively expensive, because if you boil it down to a gallon, So we saw that it costs $15 to $120 per metric ton of CO2 captured. I think I used the $120 metric, and I boiled this down to like cost per gallon of gasoline, and it would be like 10 cents a gallon or like 6 cents a gallon. So imagine if you could pay 10 cents a gallon for the gasoline that you used in order to transport your vehicle, but then you solved transportation-based climate change. I would happily pay 10 cents per gallon to just get everybody, no offense, sorry Ken, sorry mom, sorry Jesus. I would spend 10 cents per gallon in order to get everybody to shut the fuck up about climate change. 100%. 10 cents per gallon is an easy cost to pay. Gasoline taxes don't even pay for infrastructure anymore. You want people at the pump to pay for carbon offsets? Yeah. If it's 10 cents a gallon, 100%. Conserve absolutely nothing. That's why we're here 12 hours. The citizens are pretty pissed. They don't want it under their houses, especially eminent domain. Weird. What? It would be in their houses? Why wouldn't you just make an industrial carbon capture thing? I would 100% do carbon capture on my property. What is it? What is your dream car, Connor? Probably, so my not dream car, my realistic car, let's say that I start making a decent living here to the point that I can afford another car payment, then I would probably get a used Nissan Titan. The other thing that I might get is an F-150 Lightning, which is like the electric truck that does 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. I, of course, would get like crew cab, decent seats, nice bed that I can beat the shit out of, all that kind of stuff. My other dream is buying like a Toyota Tacoma and then converting it into a Warthog from Halo and then building a massive coil gun in the background and shooting Red Bull cans of metal at an object for a Counterpoints 40K YouTube video. And then, basically a Toyota Tacoma converted into a Halo Warthog with a coil gun in the back. That's what I would do. Thank you for the donation, Grassroots Hegemon. Let's take a look at it. NIMBY MFers, says Christian Vlaris. I agree. Gen X, you're going to have to come brief the chat and myself about your efforts when you're done. Grassroots for $10. That's true, but it does take a ton of time and cash to get it financially viable. The manufacturing around it is where you lose the money. Got to bite the bullet, in my opinion. Well, yeah, Grassroots, that's exactly what I'm saying is I think the government should subsidize construction. Like, effectively, oil companies should be the ones who bear the burden of building the infrastructure because, let's face it, they're the ones who are creating the carbon. However, we should tax all of that construction at zero. And if they need no interest loans or low interest loans, like loans that are set at inflation, I'm 100% effectively willing to spend billions, if not trillions of dollars in order to have the oil companies build carbon capture that is then calculated into the American output of carbon. And if we need to do it in order to offset the whole world so we avoid ecological catastrophe, I would be down like a clown for this because I want to shut the fuck up about it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Climate change is so boring. It's like, it's hot and a bunch of people in Bangladesh are starving to death because they don't have access to non-salted water because sea level rises keep salting their crops. And I'm like, I don't give a shit, okay? I just want to do whatever we need to do in order to shut up about it, okay? I don't care anymore. So let's get it done. What about heat pumps to replace household gas boilers? Dude, I don't know exactly what you're saying, but my presumption is that this is a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. Rothbard says, wait, just paying a carbon tax doesn't reduce emissions. It's supposed to de-incentivize. If you're arguing that having this tax doesn't matter, then it removes the purpose. Yeah, Rothbard, I'm not talking about tax. I'm not talking about carbon taxes. I don't care about carbon taxes. I think that we should use whatever CO2 is required in order to create an industrial society. What I'm saying is that there are carbon capture machines that are capable of capturing a metric ton of CO2 out of the air for the cost of $120. And therefore, we need to build these facilities so we are at zero or we're actually negative for carbon capture. Meaning that we pull more carbon out of the air than we do produce it on an annual basis. And then I want to pass that cost on to oil companies. Toyota Warthog. I mean, I'm not joking. Guys, I'm not joking, okay? I appreciate you. There's literally dozens of people here. We're chilling on, what is it, a Tuesday? We're chilling on a Tuesday. We've probably made $200. Let's face it, it's 90% grassroots hegemon, but we have had other donors. We have had grassroots, Rises, Casey, Sapient. I parasocially love all you guys. Rises again. So all the chatters. Don't feel compelled to donate if you don't have any cash. Don't worry about it. But I'm just saying, we made a decent amount of money. We're hanging out. We're posting post-recorded content. We're going to make money. If we produce content over 6 months and we start making stupid money, I am 100% comfortable with getting enough money. A Toyota Tacoma, you can find a used one for under 20 grand. I could get metalworking machine for probably under 20 grand. And so we spend 40 grand, whereas Hassan Piker, fucking loser, spends 300 grand on a Porsche. I would rather spend 40 grand on a Tacoma and metalworking equipment and then be able to CNC my own metal parts and fabricate my own metal parts and then build a real Warthog, a functional Warthog, and then put a coil gun in the back, like a 10-foot long coil gun. That would make me so excited. It is online. You can watch later and skip through. Okay, cool. Cool. My most off-left take is to use eminent domain to facilitate railroads. Yeah, I like trains. Why not invest in nuclear? Why don't we do both? I love nuclear. Nuclear's my favorite. Put a nuclear reactor in my ass, okay? I love nuclear. Basically, tabletop said, oh, okay, that was back to the work stuff. Does the death cult? Yes, we read that. Yeah, but trees are gay. Sorry, I accidentally scrolled up too far. Pine trees can capture like 2,000 pounds of carbon per year. We can do both. Yeah. Dude, man, Sue, I'm sorry for calling trees gay. Okay, my bad. Grassroot, that's true, but it takes a ton of time. Yes, I addressed that one. Connor, why not invest in nuclear? That's where I said put it in my ass. Even when I was a lefty that got all my news from the Young Turks, I never gave a shit about global warming. Dude, it's so boring. There's no enemy to fight. There's no aliens. There's no guns. There's no explosions. It's so gay. I no offense to my homosexual audience. I love you. But like, I mean gay as in lame, not gay as in homosexual. I hate climate change. I don't care about it. Let's just fix it. I'm a geologist, conservative. I completely believe in alleviating the issues first. Sure. All right. Nuke plants are expensive as F, but don't offshoot their costs until half a decade. Also, Greenpeace convinced every lefty that nuke plants are dangerous and hurt the environment, which is BS. True. Basically, Tabletop says, listen, trees are gay, but also nuclear everything. Whatever they were doing in Fallout before the bombs dropped, let's just do that. Listen, we don't agree. Or wait, hold on. We all agree, okay? Nukes are based. Trees are gay, but we still need to use them. Sorry to Dude Man Sue. The trees are just, gay and lib-coded. But we need trees, we need nukes, we need carbon capture, we need cool EVs, and I need $40,000 so I can build a Warthog out of a Toyota Tacoma and put a 10-foot long coil gun in the back that shoots nuclear Warthog. Exactly. That shoots a giant Red Bull can of tungsten at 2,000 feet per second. Rothbardy said Spain and Portugal just had a complete blackout because 92% of the grid was renewable, and renewables don't have contingencies to cope with spikes and imbalances. Yeah. You need natural gas. You need quick turn natural gas. You need nukes. And then you need carbon capture, 100%. So hold on. Let me just show you guys a coil gun real quick because I don't think you guys are appreciating how cool this is. So let's take a look at powerful coil gun. All right. So this is a coil gun. And it's probably another day long. Give me a second. We got to skip the Dr. Ammar out of Gaza. He needs your help. Go give him $15. Okay. So this is electric. And what it does is it uses magnets in order to propel a piece of tungsten or like a piece of metal at a few hundred feet per second. But the problem with it is it's so small, it's not that powerful. Okay. It's literally powered by like an electric drill here. Ooh, what?
Snap that on.
My baby mama just got me food. What you talking about? What you get me? All right.
Magazines that hold 15 rounds.
Nice. McDonald's gift card for the win. I'll turn this on though. But the truth is that it's over-engineered a ton in order to be an almost lethal BB gun. So take a look at this, okay? Watch what it actually does.
Little high again.
Like, I don't even think that would
Leave
kill
my
someone. They shoot like pineapples with it, and
actually a
it
little bit better
barely
than we were-
explodes a pineapple. Okay? So the point is that with these, in my opinion, the problem is size. This thing is built to only be like 3 or 4 feet long, and it's using a power drill. So what I want to do is I want to take a Toyota Tacoma. I want to build one that's literally double the width, double the height. So you're effectively increasing the width and height by, you know, I don't know, you're making it 400% bigger, right? Then I want to double the length, so it's like 10 feet long. And then I want to put effectively Red Bull cans inside of it and shoot it out of it. And I want the entire floor of the Warthog to be batteries. You know, what projectiles is it shooting? Literally tiny metal pellets. Okay, so they're shooting metal pellets that are, I don't know, the size of my finger. I want to shoot a solid metal Red Bull can. But in order to do that, I need your donations. so that's my shill for the day. That's my shill. We're going to take forever to get through this Mike from PA content, but let's face it, it is funny. All right, you guys are still talking about the economy. I'm over here talking about you know, coil guns out of the backs of trucks. Let's continue with the content before we get lost. Hold on.
It's very
What do you do about heat? I don't think there's that much heat generated.
clear he wants to use similar imagery used by communists.
I'm going to mute
without
myself
having
so
to
I
present
can eat.
himself as such, since he doesn't actually share the same beliefs.
Well, I mean, like, if I were to Google, so let's Google Soviet font. Do you think that the stuff that I would find would look pretty similar to what's on your site?
I have.
You don't know? You just
What does
randomly
that
just.
mean?
Wait, I'm curious.
What does
How
that
did you-
mean? Soviet font.
I'm
Listen,
curious.
we're both
Well, you can Google it if you need to, Mike. I know
Look
that you
at
want to
this
just ask
dumbass.
questions.
Sorry. Mike is being obtuse. He knows exactly what Destiny is talking about. He's just being obtuse because he doesn't want to concede the argument that he's catering to tankies. So I'm going to type in the words Soviet font. We all know what this is. Okay? We all know what this is. All of the Russian propaganda that was written in acrylic has the similar style of stuff. And if you look at Mike from PA Central Committee, Google Mike from PA Central Committee, and this is the other thing, I don't like liars, right? So if he wanted to say, oh yeah, I use Soviet aesthetics in order to cater to tankies, I don't even see his personal logo. This is probably a video making fun of him. But the point is that if we went to his logo and his aesthetics from half a decade or a decade ago, it 100% would be in this font and it would be in red and gold and he would be catering to tankies. So him being obtuse about this is effectively telling me that he's a liar. So gross. Don't lie about anything. Own your bullshit.
It's because you can't. So, how did you choose the font and everything for your Twitch page?
It's a socialist font because I.
Oh, it's just a social. So what other socialist movements today around the world use this font that people would associate it with?
It's called Future Socialism. It's a fucking font that was made very recently. Like what? So what's the tanky font?
So hold on. Cameron Mosley says you basically want a big nail gun. No, I want to shoot a Red Bull sized object at 2,000 feet per second so I can cave in like a truck with a Red Bull can going, you know, that's breaking the speed of sound. That's what I want to do. I don't want a big nail gun. And then basically Tabletop says, I would help fund this, but Trump took all the extra in Warhammer tariffs. True. Listen, I get it, guys. It's tough out there. I started to stream at a very weird time. The economy's imploding. Wages are making less than they've ever made. Everything's more expensive than it's ever been. And also, even professionals are taking a massive financial hit. I started streaming at a weird time. However, that being said, you know, there's some people who are doing well even in this dog baloney economy, okay? So don't donate if you don't have any money. If you do have money, it's appreciated, never required. That sounds like a big potato gun. Yeah, but I want a potato gun that can kill trucks, okay? Aren't Red Bull cans aluminum? I wouldn't be using Red Bull cans as ammo. I would literally take the dimensions of a Red Bull can. I would measure it. I would mill it out of like aluminum or steel, whatever works best with a coil gun. Then I would build a coil gun in order to fit the dimensions of the Red Bull sized object. And then I would try to max out the speed in order to shoot it as possible, or as fast as possible. There's a Hacksmith is a YouTube channel that built a really powerful coil gun already, but they said that they limited the energy because of Canadian laws about projectile weapons. And I wouldn't have those limits because I'm American. So I would literally work with engineers. I should say actually instead of literally. I would actually work with engineers in order to build the most powerful 10-foot coil gun that we could possibly build. And then even if we dumped like thousands of dollars into it, we obviously would make a YouTube video that would hopefully make, you know, thousands of dollars back. Probably not enough to recoup the investment, but I think for science, okay? I'm trying to do this for science, okay? I'm trying to advance humanity by making a Gauss cannon that shoots Red Bulls 2,000 feet per second, okay? Sin Patty says, y'all have a good one. Time for me to be the energy in the virtual room. Well, have a great meeting, Sin Patty. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you. What about the induced heat on the piping? I don't know. I would just fire one and then give it a break, I guess. I have no idea. Listen, I'm not an engineer. I'm an idiot. I'm actually not an idiot. I'm very intelligent. I'm more of a verbal and rhetorical guy. I'm not a building guy, okay?
On. Democratic Socialists, Social Democrats are not tankies, you stupid fucks.
I never said Social Democrats.
Creek, let him swear. Let him swear.
The conversations derailed from there, with Mike struggling to give a definition for a Marxist-Leninist.
Yeah. Let me make an accusation that's relevant to the
Oh, he's not going to answer the question.
which is the grifter thing.
Oh, no.
There it is. Pivoting Mike. Here's the difference between me and Mindwaves. Mindwaves comes on, he cries about his brand. And he's never done a fucking thing to organize for the left.
You even agree that everybody on Twitch cares about their brand. It's not. You can't use caring about your.
Deus Halcyon for 20 Canadian dollars. Thank you kindly. Thanks for being a sane conservative. I just watched my country lose what was almost a guaranteed conservative victory due to Trump action against Canada. Canadian Trumples are the worst. Rant over, warthog based. What we can do, guys, what we can do is I have projects, okay? I owe Grassroots Hegemon Malcolm Reynolds' revolver, okay? Part of the problem has been I've been so busy with this project that I haven't had an opportunity in order to get into 3D design CAD software in order to start designing the metal that we need in order to mill for his firearm. However, I want to do that. I want to do the Halo Magnum, and I want to do the Halo Battle Rifle. So what I can do, obviously, I parasocially love you guys. Thank you for all the super chats. The support has been amazing, especially over the past few days. It's been crazy. And having you guys in chat has been beautiful. I seriously, I love hanging out with you guys. It's so fun. This is one of the most fun jobs I've ever had. I like law enforcement a little bit better. I'm not going to lie, but it was so stressful. It wasn't worth it. This is a better job compared to law enforcement. And law enforcement was legitimately my favorite job. So what we could do is we could start tracking donos towards projects. So what I could do is obviously like I need to use your super chats in order to pay bills. But what I could do is like if you give $20 and you say, hey, this is for the Warthog, or hey, this is for the coil gun, or hey, this is for the Magnum, or hey, this is for the battle rifle. What I can do is I can create like an Excel spreadsheet and track all the money that people have donating. And then when we get excess income where more than my bills are paid, then what I can do is I can go ahead and start creating those projects based off of who donated how much, etc. And then if I know who did what, when, where, why, I can obviously put you not only in like the Patreon thanks and all that kind of stuff, but obviously if you help donate to a project, I would effectively give it to you for the cost of the project, right? Because you're supporting my dream of streaming. So I would return by helping me with my dreams, I would give you a piece of my dream for literally whatever it costs to make, you know?
Brand is it like try to accuse me of like grifting, Mike? Okay,
would be Mindwaves, which is why when he's talking to me one-on-one, he's practically on his knees. But now that he has Destiny and a whole bunch of other people to try to back him up, cowardly Mindwaves.
Look at him pivot. Look at Mike pivot away.
Jump behind. That's why you're fucking grifter. Now me,
let the record show. Mike didn't answer any questions.
I have done the things, and then not only that,
Mike still didn't answer what.
Grassroots Hegemon says all my stuff to shelters and sourcing homes for puppies. Dude, unironically, if we make a shitload of money, you know, obviously AdSense, like, so we got to build up the content pipeline. We got to post all the VODs. We got to edit them enough. We got to get enough super chats in order to pay bills. But let's face it, there's plenty of wildly unsuccessful, or not wildly unsuccessful. There's plenty of very financially successful, very stupid streamers. Okay, let's put it that way. So if we start making good money, you know how who is it? So Destiny, he does the canvassing operations. Mike from PA, I'm sure he's done some mutual aid BS. Hassan has his mansion, all that kind of stuff. What I would unironically do, let's say that we have a few $100,000 disposable. I would buy a property near my house and I would turn it into a dog daycare that does like grooming services and dog daycare, so it can be a self-sustaining business. But then I would also cut off 50% of it and turn it into a dog rescue. And then I would just rotate all the good dogs in the shelter system in Orange County, Florida. I live in Orange County, self-docs, but in Orange County, Florida. And then I would just rotate in and out all of the good puppies who are at the shelter, who are on the verge of not making it. And then we would basically rehabilitate, socialize them, and then get them adopted into the community. I 100%. The way that, who is it? The guy with long hair, Streaming Jesus, whatever his name is. The guy who goes, woo! Charlie, I forget his real name. Penguin Zero / whatever his real name is. Penguin Zero, you know how he has a Moist Critical. Thank you, Mr. Geek. The way that he has like a warehouse with a gym with like all this bullshit in it, we would do that, but we would do that with dogs because I love dogs that much. Anyways, end of charitable rant over.
What Marxist-Leninism is, by the way, just reminding you that. Go ahead.
In September 2021, there was a campaign called A Day Off Twitch, in which various streamers boycotted Twitch in order to protest an influx of bots on the platform. These bots were spamming racist, sexist, homophobic, and overall just general toxic messages. Mostly everyone obliged, well except for Mike, who decided to not only stream, but stream for much longer than usual. He very clearly did this to capitalize off the fact that Hassan wasn't streaming that day, taking in all those viewers.
I'm going to type in
He'd get called out for scabbing, which is when a person works.
Let's see whatever crazy thing that Tuvox just made. The words Soviet font. We all know what this is. Okay? We all know what this is. All of the Russian propaganda that was written in acrylic. Damn. Ding. I got owned. I meant Cyrillic. Please tell me I'm at least close. Cyrillic alphabet. Okay. Oh, no. Owned in the marketplace of ideas. Dang. All right. Well, at least it wasn't porn, right? Oh, that's fire. All right. I deserved it.
While the fellow employees are striking. What's incredibly ironic about this is that Mike himself has called out scabbers.
From every union pilot, if they find out you're on this list, they will do everything they can to hurt you and your career, to exclude you from every social function, to prevent sharing a cockpit with you, to prevent working with you.
When confronted over this, Mike says that the Twitch strike was not actually economic action, even though it stopped Twitch from making money. After the backlash, Mike did show regret to not joining.
So Deus Halcyon says, I assumed you were just making fun of the name. You either said it at least twice. Dude, no, I'll tell you what happens, okay? When you talk for 5 hours, okay? Because we started at 9:30, it's already 1. So we've been live for 3 hours and 30 minutes. What happens is your brain turns into soup. And so you do this like word association thing where you're approximately correct in what you're saying, but you'll say stupid flubs like that, where I was thinking Cyrillic. Obviously, that's obviously what I was thinking, but I said acrylic without even thinking about it. And I had no idea that I obviously flubbed those two words until it was pointed out. I had no idea that I said acrylic instead of Cyrillic until somebody said, dumbass. Oh, fire. Fire, fire, fire. So, no, dude, but that's worth it. That's like, that's part of the meme culture, right? Part of the meme culture of streams is obviously people are trying to make like really serious, passionate arguments about what they're doing and why they believe what they believe and this, that, the other. And then, you know, they say something stupid like that. So, no, I appreciate it, Tuvox. I appreciate you going out of your way to help us out by creating one of our, since going full time, that is one of our first community memes. So I appreciate it.
In the strike, doing an interview several days later.
But I also know that the cause is incredibly important, which is why I brought you on, because I streamed on Wednesday.
Yeah, now I have to extend Vosh more charity for the Agua versus Aqua thing, because he obviously meant Agua. It's like, you idiot, you said Aqua, you dumbass. But obviously that's now I know that that's a streamer flub, so I can't give him that much flack because I said acrylic instead of Cyrillic. Wow.
I thought about it as I thought about it. I realized that even though I wasn't part of the decision to like tell me when not to work, it's still more important to do stuff collectively and support moves like this in the future. And I know that there's a lot of people that have contractual obligations who couldn't stream, or people that, you know, like me, that rely on this to live. But that's not a good enough reason to me. Honestly, we need to be working more collectively.
This situation in particular is why I think Mike from PA is a grifter. He pretends to have certain beliefs, but doesn't abide by them when it affects him financially. But hey, it must work for him. Otherwise, he wouldn't be slurping on Hassan's Turkish chode so much. I've seen so many tweets of this guy simping after him. He's not a debate bro, he's a persuader, a leader and a mentor. Great representative of the left. That's why so many people are loyal to him, because he is loyal to us and what is right. He is by far and away the nicest larger creator. He also has an incredibly thick skin, so if you disagree with him in a constructive way, he doesn't have a meltdown, unlike the Young Turks. I'm one of the top streamers in the world, and make hundreds of thousands of dollars in a year from streaming. I'm sorry my successful small business is triggering you. I collaborate if it's
So Comic Sans Respecter says, lol, I'd argue the pronunciation was the least bad thing about the point he was trying to make. Agreed. I was giving him flack over the pronunciation, but realistically, it was the point that he was making that sucked. And then this is one of the things that actually bugs the hell out of me, but realistically, I just know I need to keep pressing. So BizD says, Connor, for the sake of your project, Mike from PA is not worth your time. Well, I agree with you, but, you know, we had a lot of fun, especially in the first hour. In the first hour, he was doing all sorts of wild, cringe stuff. So, no, I agree with you that he's not worth our time, but sometimes it's fun just to make fun of people, right? And Mike from PA, as much as we felt bad for him throughout some of the stream, he is a person worthy of mockery, right? And then this is one of the things where I'm like, okay, being a successful streamer obviously has nothing to do with talent, okay? I'm one of the top streamers in the world that make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year from streaming. I'm sorry my successful small business is triggering you. I collaborate with Hassan because it's good for my career, and I'm an ideological ally. Hope this helps. So honestly, if Mike from PA can be one of the most unlikable, obnoxious, abrasive, cringe douchebags on the planet, and he can make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year from streaming, I literally think it's about showing up. Obviously, it's about having fun. It's about having banter with your chat. It's about building a community. It's about creating VODs. It's about creating clips and YouTube shorts and TikTok shorts. It's about marketing. It's about networking and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, if Mike from PA can do this, I can do this. Okay, no offense. So if 6 months from now it doesn't work out, I'll redirect my energy into a different project. However, I do not hold a substantive amount of successful streamers in very high regard. Sometimes I watch their content and it's dog shit. I think they just showed up every single day and they went live. I think that's what they did. They were so consistent with it for so long that enough people had some kind of parasocial bond with them. And as a result, they were able to channel that into money. He's not relevant enough to mock. I don't know. Some of these moments were really funny. Unfortunately, he is taken somewhat seriously, so it's probably going to keep tabs on him and laugh at him whenever we can, insufferable as he is. Yeah, exactly. Connor, have you considered that being a functioning adult is a serious downside when considering a career in streaming? You're not wrong, bro. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. As far as I know, as far as like streamers, you know, obviously I just started full time, but I don't know a whole lot of streamers who are like married with children, who pay their bills, who had like a decade and a half of professional experience before becoming streamers. This is actually a horrifying point.
It's on because it's good for my career, and I'm an ideological ally. Hope this helps. In May 2024, while reacting to a Destiny clip, Mike made the following statement.
I dealt with kids like this all the time in high school, and as an adult, you have to at some point respond, but keeping it to saying shit about character and not physically is great. I mean, listen, all I'm saying is...
So Short Stack Goblin says that he probably makes 120 to 150K a year, okay? So let's do the math on this, all right? So 150K, let's do 120K as a low end. My bills, if I am just getting by, okay? So I have a mortgage, I have one car, I have insurance for that car, I have 2 kids, I have groceries, I have cell phones, all that crap, right? Every single thing that you have, I have, and I don't have I have nice versions of it, but I don't have the nicest version of it, right? I'm not a materialist. I don't care that much, right? And I don't care about, I don't know, watches or jewelry. Like the most expensive thing that I buy is Warhammer. I'm not going to lie. And that's like $50 for, you know, a squad, right? So it's not a big deal. So if I was to live off of bare bones and take care of my family, pay my mortgage, handle my responsibilities, it would be 60K a year. Okay. So then what that means is everything after 60K, of course I should be doing college funds, retirement investments, all that kind of stuff. But let's go ahead and chop it in half. 120K minus 60K is living expenses. Let's say that somehow we get up to 120K and then we have 60K of extraneous income. Let's split that in half. 30K goes into investments. Well, 30K a year, dude, I could buy CNC machines. I could buy 3D printers. I could buy the Toyota Tacoma. We could work on that stuff. We could build the truck. We could build the Gauss cannon. We could build the guns. We could turn that into more content that then brings in more revenue. We could invest in a studio. We could collaborate with other people. We could effectively keep building until we start making that kind of money consistently. And then once we're making that money consistently, let's say it's 2 or 3 years of that, then I 100% would turn around and do the dog rescue as a business. 100%. It's like one of my life's greatest passions. I kid you not. Obviously, I love kids. I love my kids. I think raising the next generation is an incredibly important thing to do. But there is something about dogs where they're so loyal to humanity, and so many of them are so poorly taken care of, that if I can alleviate the suffering of living beings who seem to be like fundamentally loyal to humanity, I would spend a substantive amount of my life energy trying to alleviate the suffering of innocent creatures. So obviously human beings deserve our sympathy and our efforts as well. And we will do stuff like that. But yeah, I would love to do stuff like that. Yeah, even 120K a year for Mike is a crime. Short Stack Goblin, you are not wrong. You are not wrong. Continuing.
On site, you know, we all have different ways that we react, you know? So I would like him to come to TwitchCon and we'll see what happens. I have
Mike from PA threatening to beat up Destiny. Awesome.
I have enough. I could afford all the lawyers.
Now, obviously, Mike is implying that he'd beat up Destiny if he showed up to TwitchCon. As established before, Mike likes to soft-handedly threaten violence. He won't ever follow through with these statements because he's a fake tough guy. He's probably the most non-threatening guy I've ever seen. I bet bro's like 5'5" and weighs 200 pounds. It looks really easy to steal the guy's lunch money, that's all I'm saying. Destiny would tweet in response, "Ditch the lawyer and get a personal trainer, you grotesque gremlin." God, that poor couch. Mike's gonna need a lawyer just for all these couches he's abusing. A week later, Mike will get additional backlash for making some questionable statements regarding Estonians.
Christianity united all those who were at the bottom. And it was so insidious, it spread so widely, spreading the idea of the equality of men and being judged by your actions and your beliefs. It was radically egalitarian. It didn't conquer. Ghost of Toller, thank you for the tier 1. Unless you're like, unless you're, one of the fucking horse meat eating slop fuckers of, Estonia or something. But other than Estonia, Christianity, for the most part, did not conquer. Hassan?
Yeah, this is dumb. So just real quick, history rant, indulge me. Christianity co-opted the Eastern Roman Empire to the point that a lot of it was done through conversion. But of course, the Eastern Roman Empire fought plenty of wars and then also probably forcibly converted a substantive amount of people to Christianity. And then same thing with Western Europe. What happened was there was a lot of conflicts between Rome, what was remaining of Western Rome, which became obviously the seat of Catholicism and Christianity in Western Europe. And there were plenty of wars with Germanic barbarians. But of course, what ended up happening was a substantive amount of conversion. But through those conversions, Christian kingdoms still fought over territory all the time. And they use religious pretexts to do so. So to pretend, I like Christianity. I think it's a good religious moral philosophy. I think it has a lot of positive aspects, obviously a few negatives as well. But pretending that like Christianity was like pacifist and achieved propagation through pacifism, I think it is an ahistorical analysis.
Orbiters loving Stalin and being anti-Estonian and anti-bait racist, thinking that Stalin is the opposite of Hitler, who civilized the Baltic savages, that they keep your low your 50%. I mean, it is just objectively true that the Soviet Union raised you guys to sentience.
So basically, he's justifying Soviet imperialism, but he won't outright say it because it'll make him look like a hypocrite. He's dehumanizing an entire group of people to signal to others how much of a tanky he is. Now, Mike's biggest controversy to date comes from his November 8th stream, where he places a $100,000 bounty on Destiny.
They're not even running. They're not even like cowering and running away and screaming in fear. There's like, okay, well, they did it. We got our shots. Okay, is this guy done? Oh, shit. Well, okay. Well, we brought the white.
It's called shock, you fucking idiot. It's called shock. Anything that happens, I mean, like, holy shit, guys. If you live in Florida, I have an opportunity for you. If you want to earn $100,000, let me know.
This is a death threat. He is offering money to anyone willing to kill Destiny. This happened around the time Hassan and many of the other streamers in his circle were getting called out on their radical rhetoric, questioning Twitch's inconsistency when it comes to bans. One streamer being Denims, who made a similar comment about Grums in May.
Listen, I'll up the number, okay? 30K to anyone who'll make this dipshit disappear and make Eve's breasts bigger. Okay, you have to do both. All right? Because then it's a win-win for me. I get more breast, and I don't have to see that moron on my timeline anymore.
A common misconception was that this statement is directed towards Asmongold, and according to him, the FBI contacted him regarding it.
I saw a clip of a streamer doing a 30K bounty on you, didn't get banned. Yeah, but she did that. She was joking around, and also, I'll say it. The FBI actually contacted me about that, and I talked to the FBI, and I chose not to pursue any charges or any problems with it. But yeah, I chose not to do it. The reason why I chose not to do it is because I rewatched the clip, and she clearly was not talking about me.
Yeah, if I remember correct, she was talking about Grums, so that was like a different Twitter profile. Grums, Grummz. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him, but he's on Twitter. He said that he was developing a video game a decade ago. Apparently, it never came out. Also, he's positioned himself as this like culture warrior for, Chud Hammer, and for the people who don't want Trench Crusade to be woke, and these people who don't want like video games or comics to be woke. And so as a result, no offense to anybody in chat, okay? But I can't think of something worse to spend your mind on than thinking about how big people's boobs are in video games. Okay, seriously, let's be real. We all like boobs. We all like violence. We all like that stuff. Okay. Well, we can talk about that short stack. I'll get into it. So in reference to Grum's himself, I think he sucks, and I think that anybody, if you spend substantive amount of your times worrying about whether or not Japanese video games have enough boobs, you need to focus on other things. Okay, I'm just being real. Now, Short Stack Goblin says, why would it matter? It's still a death threat. It doesn't matter. I agree with you in that regard. Mike from PA saying that he would give $100,000 to anybody who like fought and or killed Destiny. It's fucked up. He deserves a ban. Okay. When it comes to denims, the reason why I think it's a little bit less bad, if you'll extend a little bit of charity, is she said that you have to make this person's boobs bigger and you have to fight or kill Grums, right? It's still a veiled death threat. It's still stochastic terrorism, if you want to call it that. However, it's clearly a joke because there's no person in her audience who's going to be capable of simultaneously beating and killing Grums, but then also making a girl's boobs bigger in video games, right? There's nobody who's capable of it. Therefore, it's an obvious joke. Whereas I think Mike isn't joking. I think he's joking in the fact that he doesn't think anybody's going to do it. However, I think that not necessarily, he wouldn't be able to pay if somebody killed Destiny, because then he would be an accessory after the fact to a murder, and he couldn't pay them because it's a conspiracy to commit a crime, so he would go to jail or prison. So in that way, he's saying like, oh, I'm not serious about it. However, I think he does want to plant it in people's minds that Destiny is the kind of person, Stephen Bennell, is the person who is worthy of beating and or killing. So that part of it is absolutely not a joke. Comic Sans Respecter says, there's a rumor he got fired from Blizzard for stealing. Whoa! I'm not going to finish that sentence. If you want to know what that sentence is, you need to look at your screen. It's on screen right now. Kind of crazy. Doesn't it just require a homicidal modder? Yeah. I'm not saying it's not stochastic violence. It's 100% stochastic violence, right? So no, I think it's BS. If these people were debating stochastic terrorism on Twitch from 2019 to 2022, and somehow in 2024, when they started losing politically, they all of a sudden forgot what stochastic violence and terrorism was. And of course, the solution being that they didn't forget what it was. They just thought that it's justified. So they don't actually care about stochastic terrorism or violence. It's just stochastic terrorism or violence is good when it's fighting for their cause.
Grums claimed that he won't be so sparing, but he's not a very trustworthy individual. Asmongold will end up talking about Mike's threat on stream, clearly flabbergasted that he hasn't gotten banned yet.
I don't even... what?
We can break bread on this. Asmongold 100% is correct. Mike should have caught a ban.
What's this? Asmongold worth 30K, Destiny worth 100K, Asmon fans in shambles. Roach, what the fuck? Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, now they definitely need to ban this guy.
BizD says, I know I haven't donated, but can I suggest some content? Of course, dude. Say whatever you want. Do whatever you want. I am totally respectful of everybody's financial situation. If you're a wagey, well, not after this because I already have a docket. But if you want to suggest it, I'll save it as a video for later, and we'll watch it later. I think Sean Kaplan has priority tomorrow because he basically said he'll do a pretty big super chat if we watch a certain kind of content that he wants a breakdown of. So we're probably deferring to Sean Kaplan tomorrow. But yeah, if you suggest content, if I think it's relevant, I'll 100% add it to the docket. There was something else I was going to say, though. Oh, yeah. Being respectful of everybody's financial situation. Bro, I worked at a car wash. I was a cashier for a while. I was enlisted in the Marine Corps. They don't pay enlisted guys a lot. I worked through college in the restaurant industry. And then I also was a law enforcement officer, and law enforcement officers don't make a lot of money. I know what it's like, and still know to some degree, what it's like to spend every single dollar you have on bills and still be a little late and a little short. And I know that a lot of people in our economy are in that position. So if people who are in that position give me $2, $5, $10 every now and then, that's awesome. That's cool. It's appreciated. It means that you value the content and you're willing to throw your money towards it. If you literally can't, because you're choosing between food and entertainment. I want you to keep that money for yourself, and I want you to spend it on survival. I don't want you to be hungry because you gave me a super chat, right? And then for the people who have a whole bunch of extra money, I'm happy. Grassroots is a king. Seriously, he's probably like 60% of all the donos that come through the channel. He's so generous. It's very kind. But I also understand that plenty of people who are doing well have taken a very large hit in the past several months. So if there's people who have a substantive amount of money, but they've lost large swaths of cash, I don't expect them to be like super generous either. So I understand it's a rough time, right? So don't ever apologize for not being able to super chat. Tell me what you want to tell me. I'll be happy to listen, as long as you're not talking shit about my mom. My apologies, was finishing up a demo. What did I miss? Nothing. We're still wrapping up the Mike from PA segment. To be honest, I get that we probably lost a little bit of momentum because all the funny stuff was in the beginning. But at the same time, I do want to like watch things all the way through for the sake of completion when possible. So we're probably going to watch and break this down. And then I'm going to watch another Hassan segment. But I'm going to watch and break down the Hassan segment. And we're just going to go as long as we needed to go in order to finish the segment. So yeah, it is what it is. We're having fun. We're having a good time. I'm chilling with my homies. We're watching funny content. We're getting donos. We're getting ad revenue. It's a great day. It's a great day to be alive.
He would end up threatening to interview Dan Saltzman on stream if Twitch didn't do something about it. Dan Saltzman, for those who don't know, tried leading a mass email campaign targeting Twitch's sponsors to get them to leave the platform.
If Twitch doesn't ban this for this happening, I will bring on Dan from like Destiny's show, and we will go through all of the things together on stream and all of the different things that have happened. Yep. Not Dan from Twitch, Dan from Destiny. If they do not ban for this.
Mike would respond by soft-handedly threatening to DMCA Asmin.
And I just want to say this. I straight up don't consent to any insults, any watching of my content. If you watch any of my content, you don't have a license, I will DMCA you. That is what I'm going to say.
That is the weakest, pussiest shit possible, and that's all I have to say. Dude, we're all in a content mill. We're all engaging with content in order to, prop up our channels. Not allowing criticism of you being a psycho and saying that you're going to DMCA strike it, that's like bitch-made bullshit, being real. Dan from Destiny, can that be what we call him anytime? Yes. Call him Dan from Destiny, not Dan Saltman, not a Twitch ad, canceler Dan Saltman. Call him Dan from Destiny.
Any kind of bad faith interpretations of what I'm saying, any attempt to make me seem to be saying something I don't believe or don't say, is absolutely not allowed. I don't give you any consent to review my content. I don't give you any consent to defame me.
So if this video goes down for any particular reason...
Grassroots, you are too kind. Thank you.
Just blame this greaseball. Mike would end up getting banned.
Well, Christian Blair, so did Dan ever take Asmin up on this offer? I think they talked about it, but they never ended up doing it because Mike from PA actually did catch a ban. That's what they're talking about right now.
And those only for a few days. He then jokes, "I deserve the ban, to be honest. The joke wasn't funny." His fans are justifying it in the comments, though he had to hide a reply that linked to the...
Dude, let's do that. This is going to be our first community harassment campaign. Obviously, we're not really harassing. We're just screwing around. But anybody who watches this VOD or watches me in general and they see this clip, start calling Dan Saltman Dan from Destiny. Okay? It's true. Most people know Dan Saltman through Dan from Destiny with absolutely nothing. Or wait, what is it? Anything else? Right? That's how they know him. They know him as being Boys with Destiny, Destiny's friend, the guy from Anything Else, et cetera, et cetera. But Anything Else is a joint project. And so if you call Dan from Destiny, it will probably piss him off to no end. And it's perfect. It's very cute. Please do it.
The infamous Bad Bunny clip. As discussed in other videos of mine, Hassan and his orbiters have a history of making death threats.
If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott.
Elon Musk, I will kill you to death with a knife and a gun and a bomb and a nuke. Parody, 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 parody.
30K to anyone who'll make this dipshit disappear.
Can somebody just like, it would just be so easy to just, it was so like solve all of our problems. Like, we would have socialism now at this point. We would have socialism at this point if someone just went out of their way and it would be
He's
so
talking
easy.
about killing Destiny.
Guys, if you live in Florida, I have an opportunity for you. If you want to earn $100,000, let me know.
We have direct geographical, physical access to the politicians, the propagandists.
Yo,
the
hold up. This isn't funny to me. This segment right here. This fucking I'm gonna get rude because it's my own channel and this is not going on Valor. This fucking lacrosse playing fucking prep school pedo mustache freak. Okay? This dude who has not seen a day of violence in his life. This fucking weak ass bitch. He can probably lift weights, let's be real. He's encouraging his audience to commit terrorist attacks, and he was actually confident enough to post this as content to his channel. Okay? I want you to I want you to understand how insane this is, that Noah Samson felt like, dude, I had somebody in my comment section on Valor when we were reviewing the New York Times puff piece. They were like, oh, Hassan isn't a terror apologist. If you need to do that, you need to come with receipts. Bro, I know that this isn't Hassan Piker. We'll watch Hassan Piker. We'll find clips for him in a second. Tell me that this isn't an explicit call for terrorism by Noah Samson. Watch this shit.
In Florida, I have an opportunity for you. If you want to earn $100,000, let me know.
We have
watch this.
Direct geographical, physical access to the politicians, the propagandists, the weapons companies, and the supply chains. If we want this genocide to stop, it's time to escalate. That's all I'm saying.
One face of backlash for the
bro. You cannot tell me that you understand stochastic terrorism and stochastic violence and tell me that's not a stochastic call for terrorism. That's 100% saying we have geographic access. And I'm pretty sure the preamble to this is protests aren't working. He's not talking about peacefully protesting. He's not talking about going outside of Lockheed Martin or Raytheon or whatever and standing there with picket signs and saying, stop supplying weapons to the U.S. war machine. He's talking about hunting, beating, maybe killing politicians and people who work for defense contractors. That's what he's doing. And I dare any progressive, any leftist, any fan of Noah Samson to tell me otherwise. Please tell me that this isn't a stochastic call for violence. You're lying to me and probably lying to yourself. Void a parrot. Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Ken. Sorry, Jesus. That needs to be one of our first merch things. We need like a t-shirt with my face saying, sorry, Mom. Sorry, Ken. Sorry, Jesus.
These remarks. These creators have a few defenses lined up. Mainly, they'll use plausible deniability, trying to either downplay what they said or straight up refer to it as a joke. Even if these are jokes, they're super unfunny and are being directed towards people that they absolutely despise. Oh, and in that last clip I showed from Noah, he straight out took it out of the video, which is why I had to show it from Lonerbox's reaction. I'd honestly have more respect for these people if they were just honest about their intentions, but they never are. They clearly use death threats as a crutch when they struggle to make legitimate criticism of people, and these people they're going after tend to be downright despicable. But what does threatening them accomplish? It makes Hassan's orbit look like insane freaks, which I mean, they are.
They are.
It's the worst thing you can do optically. Mike, you're giving Destiny an easy out when you place a bounty on his head. Another problem I have with this is how safe edgy these guys are. They make these violent threats and constantly say horrible shit online, and then cry when they get a slight bit of hate back. I've seen these people take Sam Hyde's call out of Hassan seriously, as if they don't say things far worse in a more serious context.
Dude, I love this clip. Is he going to play it?
You were not tough guy.
Hold up. I love this clip. And I'm telling you, I understand. If Sam Hyde said this about me, I would shit my pants. Okay? Sam Hyde, Hassan Piker clip. This is terrifying. This guy What is this guy's height and weight? Sam Hyde, height. He's 6'5". What's his weight? He's got to be like 250, dude. He's got to be like a minimum. He's got to be 250. So anyways, this guy is an inch taller than me. He probably weighs more than me or the same. Look at this dude. If I had to fight this guy, I would shit my pants. Look at this guy. He's built like a baby on steroids. This is what I'm making a joke, but this is what my second child looks like. He has this like chunky torso, but then he has all this like muscle built on top of it. You're telling me Hassan is 6'4" and he's also 200 and some odd pounds. Dude, I and Sam and Hassan are all the same size, okay? But listen to this, dude. If you say this about me, I would poop my pants, okay?
You got anyone you want to call out in the heavyweight division?
Oh, you know it, lad. You know that Hassan Piker? I'm coming to kill you in Los Angeles at your house.
Listen, Noah Sampson, death threats and terrorism, not cool. This, cool and funny. However, if you said this about me, I would actually freak out. I would have problems sleeping if Sam Hyde said this about me. Bruh. All right, so hold on. Let's watch this one more time. Absolutely. If Sam Hyde said this about me, I would be worried that he would murder me as a post-ironic joke.
Oh, you know it, lad. You know that Hassan Piker? I'm coming to kill you in Los Angeles at your house.
Or in the ring?
No, in real life. I'm going to stalk him.
Or in the ring?
The announcer tries to give him an out. He's like, "You're not making a death threat, are you?" And he's like, "No, I am." Sorry. It's so crazy.
At your house.
Or in the ring?
No, in real life.
No, in real life is such a crazy thing to say. Honestly, dude, I wouldn't fight this guy either, dude. I wouldn't fight this guy. This guy would murder you. Like it's not even a question of like height, weight, and strength. This dude is just built psycho. Okay?
You are snivelly cowards who hide behind empty threats in order to intimidate those who are able to look past your manipulation tactics. Mike, you should be using that 100K to go on Ozempic. On January 31st, 2025, Ethan Klein would release his long-awaited content nuke on Hassan Piker. The video quickly garnered attention, with Hassan soon responding to it on stream, though he never actually watched the full thing live, which many took as cowardly, though he attempted to shift the narrative and make Ethan seem like a coward, as the latter didn't want to debate Hassan unless the full video was watched. Some of Hassan's orbiters would take this opportunity to watch the content nuke instead, drawing in way more viewers than usual. Denims herself bragged about 45,000 people watching her reaction live. And you know what? Good for her. Make that bag queen. But despite Mike's history of clout reaching, he did not watch the video live, which I'm surprised by. He instead fired off various tweets where he attempted to paint Ethan Klein as a Destiny fan. I can't believe that Ethan waited until there was a major video covering the accusations against Destiny to drop his Hassan nuke, with old out-of-context clips directly sourced from DGG. It's actually incredible that he's trying to cover up Destiny's sex crimes with this bullshit. What Mike is referring to here is Ryan Beard's video.
Hold on. And this is why this argumentation doesn't work for me, okay? Even before Rob's media says it. So, two things can be true at once. Hassan Piker can apologize for jihadist organizations and effectively create agitated propaganda on behalf of socialists and communists that is fundamentally anti-American. And he can be a massive piece of garbage that Ethan Klein figured out that his co-host on Leftovers was a massive piece of garbage. That can be true. And Stephen Bennell can have created homemade pornography and shared it recklessly with a bunch of people, allegedly. And then that pornography got leaked, which means that Stephen is not such a nice fella. I guess that's the best way to put it, right? And then also, just for the sake of completion, allegedly he recorded without consent of the people involved audio recordings of consensual sexual interactions, right? So Steven can be doing really bad things in reference to sex stuff, and Hassan can still be a piece of shit. So two people can be bad at once, and oftentimes in politics, they are.
Video on Destiny, which came out the same week. Mike is trying to claim that Ethan maliciously released his video that week to cover up for Destiny. This is absolutely not true at all, as Ryan later stated. Just wanted to clarify, my video is not an attempt to take attention away from H3's content nuke or anything dumb like that. I think both Destiny and Hassan deserve criticism, although I do think Destiny is a much worse person. I just thought it would be interesting to have two content nukes about the two biggest political streamers released at the same time, which is why I use that title. So no hate to H3 whatsoever. I recommend you go watch both content nukes, then come to your own conclusions about both Destiny and Hassan. Ryan himself said he purposely released this video around the same time just for fun. Mike knows this, as he actually hid replies mentioning this fact. Another lie Mike spread is that this now infamous couch photo was photoshopped by GGG.
Actually, Mike from PA, the dude that's stuck in the before image of a transformation story, did receive a 3-day ban.
This man put a bounty on a fellow streamer's head. This man should not be getting a 3-day suspension. He should be getting a knock on his door from the FBI.
It's incredible to see a multi-millionaire on Ozempic like Ethan Klein use photoshopped pictures from a sex criminal's fan base, Destiny, to call someone else fat. Dude, you were a chunky boy yourself, before you bought yourself some temporary weight loss. Holy shit, this is funny. But as it turns out, this image is not photoshopped. It's from a December 2023 Caseytron livestream.
Wait, what are you guys saying to me? Wait, it's actually live now. We're actually live now. It's not commercials now. But my camera is like pulsating. Will you turn off that autofocus?
Start working out on stream, Mike. That's what I'm doing. I'm
God,
working
these
out.
two are a match made in heaven. I joke about a possible marriage, but just the thought of them having offspring makes me wish I was that couch. This tweet is what made me want to make this video. The sheer fact that he'd lie about something this blatant is so malicious. Mike is flat out lying, not only to discredit Ethan, but to protect his fragile ego of being seen as a 40-year-old schlubby, greasy stoner who relies on Hassan to make money. Mike just owned being fat. Look at Papa Gut. He is fat, but he is proud of his girth, which is why he's the king of the fat people. Sorry, Nicholas Diorio.
You know, I know him as a pretty decent looking dude. Like back in the days, he looked normal. I don't know what happened the past like 5 years.
This is your brain on fucking communism, bro.
Yeah.
True.
This is what happens. Did receive a 3-day. The funniest part about this is they go, "This is Photoshop. This is what I look like." And then there's video. You can look at the video. It's literally. It's
Wait, he protested that.
He says it's fake. It's photoshopped. And then you pull up the video, and it is literally.
Was that a fart? Not on my part. I was doing forearms.
A screenshot.
Oh boy.
Mike would soon make more tweets trying to directly link Ethan to Destiny, which bleed into conspiracy theory territory. Here is irrefutable proof that Ethan Klein is directly coordinating his messages against Hassan with Destiny, accused sex criminal, and his community. Ethan pulls directly a top post from Destiny's subreddit and posted on his Instagram raw. Look at the
Listen, I want to get through the content, so I'm going to let this thing play. But if I ever argue about what people are posting on a Reddit or using information from a Reddit, I'm going to dox myself so you can come to my home and euthanize me. Okay? I don't care. If you're a Redditor, that's awesome. If you spend all day, checking stuff out, learning new things, posting cool things, engaging in communities that you agree with, awesome. But if I ever argue about what chatters are saying on Reddit, I want you to come to my house and I want you to euthanize me with a hammer. Okay? Grasser Touchabon says, you laughed at put everyone in prison policy, but here we are. Look at you now, you goofy goober. Listen, I think people should be free to screw up. Okay? People should be free to mess up. Freedom is important. But again, if I engage in freedom in such a way that my present self would hate my future self, euthanize me with a hammer, okay?
The timestamps. His proof is that Ethan probably took this image off his subreddit, which really isn't a big deal at all. He stole nearly everything in the video from DJG. In fact, the screen grab he used to call me fat was pulled from a livestream I did with my friend CaseyTron and photoshopped by the community. It's the original source for almost every debunked claim. This is just reality. There is literally no concrete proof that Ethan and Destiny are collaborating, with the only other piece of supposed evidence being this clip Denim showed in one of her videos.
I know it wouldn't look good for Ethan to publicly do anything with you, but if you reach out on private at all, well, privately we chat a ton, of course. Why do you think I've been off stream so much the past week? I'm like scripting these fucking videos. But publicly, I mean, it's difficult to associate with him because Asana's just going to accuse me of like mind fucking him, basically, right?
That's all.
If Ethan Klein is willing to lie about all this other stuff, what else is he willing to lie about?
I never fucked Destiny.
Denims and her retarded friends either don't know what sarcasm is, or are being willfully ignorant to get an own on Ethan. I'm leaning towards the latter. Ethan is in no way trying to cover up the fact that Destiny is a degenerate freak.
I'm leaning towards the former.
Who violates women's consent. In fact, he outright condemned him as soon as it was appropriate to do so.
It was only yesterday I became aware that Destiny had recorded me while we had sex without my consent.
That is so.
That to me is like the worst. That's like a go to jail type of.
And then sharing it on top of that, it's
distribution.
Filming without consent is like.
It's audio without consent, which, to be clear, is still messed up and should not have been done, allegedly.
Like, it's a terrible crime. It's just a terrible crime.
Yeah.
Mike has still not watched the content nuke in full, instead watching Bad Up and Nada videos. The same guy who helped spread the lie of Ethan's kids eating shit off the floor, which led to someone calling CPS to his house. In response to that, Mike would obfuscate the potential culprit to make Ethan's detractors seem less unhinged. Recently, Mike went after AB, aka Starkiller, one of Ethan's employees. He claims that AB was only hired to make Ethan feel good about himself, and is in turn selling out his own people.
I don't care what your personal opinions are. I'm talking about the work you do day in, day out for a living. You are, and this is no exaggeration, literally selling out your own people. That's sad. Me personally, I couldn't do it. I would rather move in with a family member and get a minimum wage job than a Rolex to fight for Mossad.
AB would respond.
Yo, that is some of the most racist shit I've ever heard. So, because this is AB, he's Lebanese. I think he's, descended from a Muslim family. He works for Ethan Klein, who's obviously Jewish and supports the existence of the state of Israel. He does not condone the Israeli operations in Gaza, but because AB works for Ethan Klein, he's effectively saying that he's a traitor to his race. He's a race traitor, according to Mike from PA. That is a bananas statement coming from somebody who's a leftist. Holy crap. You could have framed that statement any other way. You could have been infinitely more charitable and not caught half as much flack. That is a crazy, crazy, crazy statement.
Onto this on the H3 podcast, clearly pissed at how Mike is implying he should quit his job for political brownie points.
I'm not going to fucking get fired. I'm not going to be sent back to Michigan. I'm not going to make my wife starve for fucking idiots like you. Assuming your framework that Ethan is this evil boss and everything that you're saying, it's I don't know why this coming, like I'm getting it every day, but for whatever reason, this goofy ass
he's
fucking
some
white
dumb
dude
fucking
put me
white
over the
bitch
fucking
who's
edge.
Yeah, he's telling you that
it's an easy.
Listen, I'm going to point this out though, because obviously I have to get my white grievance politics in there. If you're going to call him like a goofy white bitch, then they should be able to apply the same thing to you. They should be able to say goofy Arab bitch or goofy Jewish bitch, which of course, like nobody would accept. They would be like, that's hella racist, right? So, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Slam dunk. It's an easy slam dunk. Any of us, like right now on Twitter, they want to use us to fucking comment on any of our shit because they know we're gonna get ratioed, and they're just milking it because you're not on Twitter. I do not give a fuck. Like, enjoy, but please do not act like you give a fuck about Palestine. Like I said, criticize me, but coming from a fucking white dude saying I'm fucking betraying my people.
Yeah.
It's
What the
rich.
fuck
I'm
do you
jumping the gun
stand
a little
on?
bit. Spoiler. Sorry, Chad.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Ethan and AB would then shit on Mike for using serious political topics as an excuse to dunk on people he has personal disagreements with.
Right now, there's a war raging.
We got 4 minutes left, chat. We're almost there.
That's like worse than it's ever been in Gaza, with Israel going in there militarily, continuing their bombing campaign, with like riot or protests happening in Gaza, and they're taking time to talk about AB. Like, how fucking insignificant is that to actually what's happening? This is their activism. It's crazy.
A white man going
That's
after a
capitalism.
struggling Muslim man is really, it boggles. It's rich. Like, what the fuck do you stand for? I'm very confused.
Hold up. So the thing about it is, though, that I've made this comment multiple times. If you want to talk about serious ideas, let's say we want to talk about capitalism, socialism, mixed economy capitalism, the proletariat, Marxism, all that kind of stuff. It's easier to root these things in clashes of personality between multiple people than it is to just talk about ideology. If I booted up this stream and I just started about how I thought, talking about how I thought the American empire was great, I would stream to 5 people. However, since we root my political perspectives in criticism of insane progressives, insane leftists, and insane dissident right-wing people, there's infinitely more people who are interested in the clash of personalities between multiple people and my own criticisms of them. And so as a result, it's a larger stream. So that's where this is, that's why. That's why people always nest political ideology in drama, is because obviously drama pays the bills. Homeboy can't have my Rolex and couldn't take it if he wanted. True. Mike from PA. We need to make a list of people we like and don't like. And it's not for any harassment purposes. It's just to track people who are pieces of garbage who deserve our attention and pieces of garbage who we don't care about. Ved Sunil says, booted up my PC because I need to get that Fortnite battle pass. So true. Never know, Connor. You never know. True. I changed my mind. Talk about Mike was a mistake. It makes me hate humanity. It's all right. It's almost over. And then we get to watch Hassan.
Nothing. He just wants attention and clout and money, and this is how he does it.
And wants to get a one-up on his boss.
We all want attention, clout, and money. That's not a valid criticism in this space.
Like, what? I really...
Yeah,
it truly doesn't...
It just fucking... It makes me want to just...
Uh-oh.
No, it's me.
Alright, AB, I see you. That was funny. That was good. That was a good meme.
Makes me want to just...
Uh-oh.
No, it's me.
Did you just... What did you just do?
Did that chair just move?
Did that chair just move?
Did you?
I see you, H3H3. I see you. I see you, Lita. I see you, AB. That was cute. That was actually cute.
Did you just punch a chair, AB?
It moved a little bit.
Dude, AB doing that
pissed.
pisses me off so much.
He's pissed. Oh no, no! It's an epidemic. Fuck it.
Okay, I got it.
Everybody, punch your chair at home. Everybody, stand up. Everybody, stand up. Beat the shit out of your chair.
Mike's main response to this.
All right. Having the entire crew do it was a little bit too much. I felt like it would have been muted and really funny and kind of, I don't want to say nuanced, but it would have been funny just to have AB do it once. But you know what? It was cute. It was cute. It was funny. It was funny.
Stream was to once again try to connect Ethan to Destiny.
The evidence that I'm unfuckable is clips that Destiny's fans obsessively watched of every stream I was doing with a person I was dating at the time, and created clips to claim that I was approaching her or something.
Mike, I don't believe you were dating Bad Bunny. Based on the amount of content I've watched with you two, she seems absolutely repulsed by you. This response is just cope. Or he's so delusional that he actually believes they had a relationship.
Nah, listen, if a chick, no offense, maybe this is my incel coming out. Bear in mind, I'm married and I have 2 kids and I do not fuck with the dating game at all. Just, if there's a chick that's hot or warm with you, snuggling with you, DMing you first, all that kind of bullshit or whatever, and then if y'all have any kind of hookup scenario or whatever, I'm not going to begrudge Mike. Now, if no hookup scenario occurred, let's say there was literally just that one snuggle, then I wouldn't say they were ever dating. But I would say that based off of the evidence that we saw, she was hot and cold. She was leading him on a little bit. So I hate Mike as much as the next guy. I think he's a piece of garbage. I thank him for giving us all this entertainment for the past few hours. However, let's be real. Bad Bunny played into it. Let's put it that way.
Mike from PA is a genuinely pathetic person. In my opinion, he's an opportunistic grifter who relies on a song for clout. He's able to get away with lie after lie after lie because he's found a community immoral enough to believe them without question. He does not give a shit about being wrong, as he lacks integrity, and will flat out hide the truth when presented with it. And I already know what his responses to this video will be. 1. He'll soft-handedly threaten to DMCA the video. 2. He won't watch the full video, and instead watch it through Bad Empanada or something, who will just cut certain parts out to make Mike look better. And 3. He'll say I'm a Destiny fan. My arguments are invalid because I got some of my information from him. Mike, just because something came from Destiny does not mean it's automatically wrong.
Correct. It's called the genetic fallacy. Just because something originates from a nefarious source doesn't mean that it's incorrect.
Criticize the arguments themselves and not where they came from. And stop using him as a scapegoat. Stop blaming every instance of hate you get on Destiny. Either take responsibility for your shitty behavior or shut the fuck up. You are letting this man live rent-free in your head. I mean, Mike's guilt by association tactics are way worse than in Praise of Shadows. Mike just uses politics as justification to say fucked up things about people he has personal grudges with. Alright, it's time for everyone to block Ethan Klein. Use his name and move forward. His haters are unfortunately his best publicists. He's absolutely having a breakdown. If we keep pushing, the problem will solve itself.
Yeah, so he's basically saying that Ethan Klein will either kill himself or will quit the internet because of the harassment that he's involved in. This is where my sympathy for Mike drops back down to zero. We saw him effectively be an emotionally immature boy who grew up on stream, who had a crush on a chick who was like verbally and emotionally abusive to him. It was funny in some parts. It was cringe in some parts. The couch punching was funny, blah, 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 blah. But there were legitimately like elements in there where I felt bad for who Mike was as a kid and who he was as a young man forced to grow up in this environment. Obviously, that's terrible. But when you come out here and you effectively say that, yeah, there's a creator who I think is so evil that I want to bully him until he kills himself or he leaves the internet. Yeah, like, fuck you. I have no sympathy for you. Let's be real. Well, QC John says, but Connor, give Mike a break. Attraction is fluid and can be given or retracted for 1 minute to the next. And if you don't know what minute it is, then that's on the person not getting it, not getting attracted. On the person not getting attractiveness. I guess that sounded like progressive word salad about how to conduct a relationship. So I guess you're right, well, QC John.
This does not even deserve a live stream introduction, because this is dead serious. Those clips of me simming for Bad Bunny a few years ago, everyone on the internet, Hassan and his orbiters are angry at me. They're blaming me. It's my fault. I want everything about Bad Bunny off the internet. I'll send in my lawyers, I'll send in my fanboys, I'll send in everything in my power. Get it off the internet. Do you realize something? Let me tell you. If Ethan Klein of the H3 podcast sees those videos that you put on the damn internet, people can mock you for being an incel, and you'll have to leave in disgrace. You go get that goddamn stuff off of there and fast.
True. Fire content, ladies and gentlemen.